What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode and live stream of Let's Get Nuts here on the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back, guys. It's been like a month since our last live viewership. Honestly, I'm so sorry, but there just hasn't been a ton of news. And so I've been doing things like playing Crimson Desert. I've been working. I've been doing all the things. But guys, I was so excited because we got some news to talk about today in the hot toy sphere, Jazzinc sphere, InArt sphere. We're also going to talk about social media addiction. We might talk a little bit about randomly Stephen Colbert being part of the next Lord of the Rings film. We got so much to discuss. So guys, stick around on your Sunday, sit back, relax, get a little nutty with us, of course. And of course, if you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show. And of course, let's get nuts.
What are you doing? You're completely outnumbered here. Are you nuts? You want to get 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 nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
Alrighty, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's bring in the first panelist of the day. Of course, our co-host of Let's Get Nuts. We got Mr. 1 Adam 12 back with us again. Good sir. How you doing, man? It's been way too long since I had a chance
Ben.
to chat with you last.
Yeah, it's been quiet, but glad to be back here. I know you got to work. It was fortuitous me. I had to work at a couple of family things, but because of the lack of announcements, I had to feed my Transformers addiction. I just got this the other day from Sideshow.
Hell yeah, dude.
Bumblebee. So haven't opened that yet, but you know, there's no hot toys. Got to be some more crazy. Transformers for me. Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about that because, you know, I've got a subject in here today about, is there a hot toy slump? Obviously, I know that they've got the Chinese New Year kind of in that February slot there as well, which normally slows it down every year, but at the same time, it has kind of felt oddly slower than previous years, which might be good for the wallet, but I'm also curious to see what other kind of stuff you buy or do with your time, right? When we're not on the Hot Toys news daily like we have in past months and years. So we'll chat a little bit more about that, but that's a bit of a teaser, dude. So that's sweet. So, but dude, happy to have you back, man. Happy to have you back. I'm glad you're doing okay. Everything's going good with the family and everything in your channel as well.
Everything going well. Yeah. Been busy work wise. So, and just again, fortuitous. It was quiet on the Hot Toys front, but yeah, doing well. Family's well. And spring's here. I got my baseball Red Sox hat on. So, you know, in New York, we still could have snow, but we're not as snowy where you are in Canada. But we're just happy to see spring.
Yeah, fair. Well, like I keep getting these migraines because it keeps going from like -30 to +15 to -30 to +15. So it's like I like the hot days, but man, does it give me a headache. So it's one of those things, buddy. But all right, well, let's bring in our next panelist, bud. Good to see you here. Thanks for being back. We got lots to talk about today. I'm excited to have you here, my friend, of course. We got Mr. Luis from Pop Culture Relics back in the house with us as well with that crispy Star Wars display. How are you, good sir? Good to see you, man.
Doing well. Nice to be back. Nice to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah.
Good to see you.
Of course.
Thank you.
I don't know if I've ever seen that mouse droid behind you before. That thing is crazy.
Oh.
Is
it 3D printed or was it like, where'd you get that from?
This was the May the 4th release last year. They sold out online within maybe a minute. And when I got to March at Disneyland as a stormtrooper, they happened to have them at the parks and at the downtown Disney Center. So I got lucky because I missed out on the online order. I tried and it was a queue, you know, good old artisan style queue, and missed out. But they had them plenty at the store. I think by like 12 o'clock, they were already sold out. So at one point, I think they were going for like 500 on eBay, and they were only, I think, like $100, if that. But it's crazy. Yeah, it's a steal. It's easily one of the best toys that Disney's released, I will say.
It looks sick. They should try to make one that's like a vacuum or something. You know what I mean? Like those like Roombas. Right?
Yeah.
So that it's easily going around somebody's 100%. House. But how sick would that be, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
totally missing out on
except
that
that if it
market.
gets
That's a
stuck
great
in the
idea.
like cat bar for
I would
something,
buy
you know, or
I would easily buy that for sure.
Yeah, well, if your dog barks at it like Chewbacca, then they may
Oh,
go
that's
away.
right. Yeah, that's right.
It's a matter of
That's right.
time. It's a matter of time before they
Hell
do
yeah.
it.
Hell yeah. We have a couple more panelists popping in, I think, over the course of today as well, guys. Shout out to Aaron Articulates. Aaron was supposed to be with us here today, but Aaron's second baby is like either here right now or here any minute. So if he's watching out there, or all the, the replayers or the people watching live, send Aaron some love and some best wishes for a second baby. He's going to need all the love and support and rest, I'm sure, that he could possibly muster, and maybe some beer as well down the line once his wife says he can have some. So shout out to Aaron. But of course, it wouldn't be a stream unless we got the other half of Only Fools and Collecting, our number one British correspondent here in the house with us. We got Mr. Pete back again. Good to see you, buddy, after a month-long hiatus of Let's Get Nuts. I'm happy that you're back with us today, buddy. How you doing?
Hi everyone, how you doing?
Hey, Pete.
Good.
Yep, yeah, good to be back.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Your internet was just catching up with yourself,
Luis.
so I heard you before I could see your mouth move, but
We had a nightmare on OFAC the other night, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need a new laptop. Maybe it's that.
oh no. Is it just slow, or like what was happening? Is he super delayed for you guys too?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Pete, you're
I
frozen,
don't.
bud.
It's
You're frozen.
It's not my interest.
Adam, can you send Pete a message in the private chat and just let him know
Yep.
he's like super delayed for me? That'd be awesome. We'll come back to Pete here shortly once he gets his internet all spruced up here, guys. But I do want to move on to the first subject because we do have some warm-ups and a lot to talk about. I see all of you guys out there in the chat. Of course, as always, this is tradition. I will say hi to you guys at the break there at about the halfway point. But keep typing in the chat, saying hi to everybody. Love seeing you guys all here back with us once again. And thanks for being such a great viewership and being so understanding with the break with Let's Get Nuts. You know, boys, like it's one of those things. Every week I feel compelled to do the show, if I'm honest. But when there's not a ton of news, it's hard to like just come up with things. But at the same time, I also recognize that it's something that people look forward to on a Sunday sometimes, right? So like you want to do it, but it's tough. So I'll try to do my best being a little more consistent going forward, but I may change just the predictive nature of the show. Like I might turn it into a bi-weekly show at some point, or something that's out a little longer. Because the weekly, if there's not enough news per week, it can be a lot. It takes about 5 hours for me to set up the show when it's all said and done with the slides and then the actual presentation. So we'll see how it goes. But if you guys are still enjoying it, then we'll keep doing it. So let's do our warm-up of the day here. I'm curious what you guys will say on this one. Star Wars sequels will eventually be as beloved as the prequels, say the puppeteer behind BB-8. I saw this posted on Facebook the other day, and it was a spicy comment section, if I'm honest. So I was curious what you guys would think about this, because I still think about, back when Phantom Menace came out, for example, and some of the, the prequel trilogy to the OG, the OG, right? And like I, at the age I was at, loved, characters like Jar Jar Binks and, the ominous presence of a Darth Maul. And I liked seeing, what the Jedi were like before the likes of Luke Skywalker and those things. But on the other hand, it wasn't super popular immediately, that's for sure, at that time, and has grown in people's hearts as being very, very loved. And I mean, now guys like, Darkside Anakin and the figures that we get from the prequel trilogy are massive in our displays. What do you guys think? Is there a chance here that the sequel trilogy will be just as popular as the prequels? Or do you think that they still just missed the mark and that it'll never achieve that level of fandom? What do you think, Adam?
Well, Pete, hopefully Pete will get his internet straight now. I think maybe other than Pete, I'm might be the oldest. Luis, you certainly look younger than me, so I'm not sure, but I'm probably the only one on the panel right now who is saw the original trilogy in the theater, saw the prequels in the theater, and then saw the sequels. So I'm the old school generation, I guess. As Yoda said, hard to see the future is. So it's hard to predict what will become popular and people's minds change later. But I think yes, there was some disappointment among OT fans back when the prequels came out, and some of the OT fans were like, well, "What's up with this Jar Jar?" They didn't necessarily like that Anakin was a boy in the first film, but I think overall, most OT fans, some really did love the prequels. I love the prequels, but most of them still liked the prequels. They found things that they really enjoyed in it, and that it was a complete story. And I think most OT fans agree that Episode 3 is a great movie, great Star Wars movie. As for the sequel trilogy, I think most people loved The Force Awakens when it came out, because it gave, it was a, yes, people knew, yeah, it was a reboot, basically. It was a New Hope all over again. But for the most part, people really loved that Force Awakens. After that, it just kind of went downhill. And I think Last Jedi, it's a very well done movie, and there's things I really like about it, but I don't like what they did with Luke. I think a lot of fans don't like what they did with Luke. There was no character arc for Rey. So, just a lot of mistakes they made. There was, as I think has recently been said by some of the players from Star Wars, they didn't have one scene in the trilogy where they put Han, Luke, and Leia together for 5 seconds. That was a huge mistake. Clearly, they had no plan for the 3 films. You look at the prequels. George Lucas had a plan for those prequels, and you could argue whether some of the execution was as good or not. But I'm not sure. Will the Gen Z people love who grew up as kids? Is there enough of them that are buying the merchandise now? As
Right.
compared to the OT and the prequel generation? I don't think so. My daughter, she grew up with the prequels. She loves BB-8. There's things she likes about this sequel trilogy, but she recognizes they're not as good. She likes the prequels more. She loves the prequels.
She does, eh?
Um,
Interesting. Even with all the political stuff and all of that in the prequels.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because she loves
Right.
little Anakin. She loves Jar Jar, and
Mhm.
that was her hook. Which, for me, when I saw the prequels in my 20s, I was like, I want what was The Matrix, because The Matrix came out the same year, 1999. I wanted that, and I felt like Star Wars, I grew up at Star Wars, didn't grow up with me.
Right.
So, but I've come to, through my daughter's eyes, I've come to appreciate the prequels more. So in a sense, yes, they're right that I've grown to like the prequels more. Will I like the sequels more? No, because I don't see that. There's things I like. Obviously the John Williams score throughout the films is great. I still like The Force Awakens. There's still, like, even The Last Jedi, the fight scene against Snoke is a well choreographed fight scene. I think how they ended that trilogy with Rise of Skywalker, that's a war crime. And I think Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams, J.J. Abrams should never make a film again after what he did. It's a war crime what they did. How to end a saga like that, horrible. So, and I just don't think there's just not the sales for the toys and the merchandise for the Gen Z generation. This is a generation that's grown up on the phones and the devices. They're not playing with the figures. So I don't know.
That's almost exactly what I was going to say as you were kind of going through your thoughts there, buddy. Because I was thinking about when I was, I think it was about 10. I want to say maybe a little bit like maybe 10 or 11 when Phantom Menace came out. Because you said that was 1999, right? So that is 28 years ago. So yeah, I was literally 10 because I'm 38 now. So, for me then, like, going to the movies was still an experiential event, you know what I mean? And we didn't have our phones to play on out in the soccer field at lunchtime, we got toys to go out and play in the soccer field. And so we were buying not the Lord of the Rings, that we were buying the Phantom Menace figures, those ones that came with like the little pad chip thing or whatever. And we were trading them on the playground, right? And like having a great time. And that was back when we were also collecting the Pepsi cans with all of their faces on them and like some of those types of things. And it was, again, experiential in that sense. Movies nowadays aren't, in my opinion, in a lot of the same ways for younger people. It's like, yeah, they either like it or they don't, but I feel like it doesn't hit almost the same way. And, I'll talk a little bit about my theater experience last night because I went and saw Project Hail Mary, so I'm excited to mention that as well. But even in that film, there was people with their cell phones out, like, Sammy Scrollers and all those people, right? So it's just like, goddamn, it's crazy to me, the attention span now. But we have Johnny Chronicles in the chat here saying there is nowhere on this earth that the entire universe where the Star Wars sequels will ever be referred to as beloved. You hate to see it. Our buddy Eric out there in the chat as well. Adam speaks for me since we are the same age. You love to see that.
Thank you, Valkyrie. Yes.
I mean, Luis, you're surrounded by Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is a number one hitter for you in a lot of ways, right? Like, what are your thoughts here? Is this even a possibility? What do you think the future generations will look back and see when they think about the sequels?
This is a great question. It's obviously I'm biased. I love Star Wars regardless, but it's tough. I was in middle school when the prequels came out, and I grew up with the original trilogy, and then the prequels came out, so I loved the design. Storyline could have been better, but I wasn't a videophile, just a cinema enthusiast to where I could really judge. I only had the original trilogy to go off of, and I think that's where, when you compare the prequels then to the original trilogy, there's really no comparison. Now that the sequels came out, you have the prequels to now compare to the sequels. And only then I feel like were people really loving the prequels so much more, right? They got a lot of hate at the time. I still don't like episode 2. That's my least favorite, I think, of all the episodes, even The Last Jedi. But I think that when you have something to compare what the previous was, then you at least either gain an appreciation of what they did back then to what they're doing now. And, safe to say, if there is a episode 10, 11, 12, then you would compare that to 7, 8, 9, and then really see, okay, you know what, maybe 7, 8, 9 wasn't as bad as we all thought it was, right? So it's tough, and I do think it is generational. With what Adam was saying, it's that's what he grew up with. I only grew up with it because of my dad, and then I loved it, but I didn't start loving Star Wars probably till I was maybe 4th or 5th grade. And by then it was, already around, but that was in the 90s, which it was still kind of that Cold War era, like between the episode, 6 and what's going to happen. Is there going to be an episode 1? So, it was a dark time. But then when the prequels came out, just the hype, man. I think that's what this generation is missing, is that hype, that everything was pretty much with the Phantom Menace, right? We had Pepsi, Pizza Hut, McDonald's. I mean, the toys. It helps that everything was cheaper back then too. So really, the merchandising was insane, and you would just be surrounded by it. And like you said, with technology and the lack of just attention, these kids just can't get into it. They're always on their screen. I mean, I was watching a movie just today, and my kids are like, "Can you skip the ads?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you want to pay me." Like when I was a kid, I had to get the cassette, rewind, be lucky if somebody rewinded it all the way back, then hit play, then fast forward through the trailers, then finally get to the movie. And they just don't know that. So that's where the generation, I think, is key. You know, we went to Disneyland just the other week, and we go to Galaxy's Edge, of course, and we see the First Order Stormtroopers, and I'm in the 501st, so my kids know that I've got the OT trooper. And I ask them, which trooper do you like more? And of course, they say, I like these new ones, right? Because that's all they know is now that they're a little older, they know the sequels because it's all they see, right, on Disney Plus, on trailers or whatnot. So now they're getting used to the Force Order Stormtroopers, as I grew up with the DK OT troopers, and that's where Disney is still excelling, is they want this new generation to grow up with, you know, the sequels, when we as collectors will still always pride over the OT and the PT. So I don't know, long story short, and to answer the question, I don't know if they'll ever get to prequel status, but I feel like it's going to take something that could be worse than the sequels to gain a more general appreciation of the sequels. Just like if the sequels were worse than the prequels, which many do believe that, then obviously people are going to say, well, maybe the prequels weren't as bad, right? Maybe we're a little too harsh to criticize Lucas, because now look where we're at, right? That's kind of what I think is happening. Like I said, I like the sequels. Obviously, I've got a Raid Premium format right there. I've got a lot of the sequel trilogy figures, but it's never, so far, it's not going to replace the love that I have for the prequels, let alone for the original trilogy.
That's fair. And it's interesting that you use the word replace, because I do find sometimes when we as like fans have like that nostalgic punch in the chest for something that we love, it can feel like these companies are asking us to love the new stuff just as much as the old stuff, right? Because, hey, you know, it's part of the same universe. It carries the same Star Wars name and branding. So if you're a Star Wars fan, why wouldn't you love these things? And it's easy to try to push back on some of those, but it's also easy to get kind of caught up in that a little bit as well. But I think that's the thing. You don't have to replace your love for the originals. You can still love those just as much and still appreciate the new stuff potentially, and hopefully still look forward to some of the upcoming stuff, right? You know, we'll talk a little bit about Project Hail Mary here quickly, but you know, Ryan Gosling in that movie, you know, there's supposed to be a Star Wars film with him in it as well, right? And I think he's a great actor. I think he's got a lot of range. So if it's good, that can help me still appreciate everything that's come since the prequel era days, even if I don't go back and rewatch the sequel trilogy all the time. I think I've only seen it all the way through probably maybe twice, maybe 3 times at the very most. And then that's kind of it. I did like The Force Awakens, but I agree, it tapered off, and I hated seeing Luke Skywalker just toss the lightsaber behind his back, and some of those things that just felt almost offensive, I think, to the OG Star Wars people, and fans. But Pete, how do you sound, buddy? Do we have you at 100% here?
Yeah, we're all good now. I swapped over to my work laptop, so I think the other one's ready for the bin.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, so it's good.
That's fair.
Yeah,
what do you think about this question?
No, absolutely not. I have no love for the sequels at all. I think from my point of view, I absolutely, you know, like you guys, Die Hard original trilogy, greatest movies of all time. When the prequels came out, I was 24, so I kind of didn't get caught up in, you know, all the hype and the toys and everything, but I was intrigued. And I think what was interesting is it told us a story that we wanted to see, because we'd heard about the Clone Wars, we knew about obviously the fall of Anakin and stuff. So I think it worked because it's something we wanted to see, and we had the young Obi-Wan and stuff. So it was characters we knew and an interesting story. I think, as Louis said, Attack of the Clones falls a bit short. I think there's some great scenes in there, the stuff on Kamino and everything, but the stuff with Padme and Anakin is super cheese, quite cringeworthy. And then Revenge of the Sith is a great film. I think everybody would agree. You know, that was a good film. I think the sequels to me gave us a story that we didn't need, and all they did was just shit on characters that we'd loved for all those years. You know, they did Luke a disservice, big disservice. You know, seeing Han and Chewie and the Falcon back in Force Awakens. Yes, when I saw it at the cinema, it was great. You know, brought back sort of, you know, good memories and everything, and it was a good event. But having watched it again, you know, subsequently, once you've over that kind of, oh, yay, they're back. It's okay, it's passable, but it's a rehash of A New Hope, really. Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, I can't stand them. I can't think of anything redeeming in either of them, I think. And to be honest, I don't think I've even watched Rise of Skywalker again since I saw it in the cinema, because I was just done with it at that point.
Really?
Yeah. So for me, as I think what Lewis was saying, that, you know, we need something really, really shit to come along to go, do you know what? They weren't that bad.
They weren't that, something even worse.
Yeah. And even, you know, and obviously that's the last kind of appearance we had of Carrie Fisher in The Last Jedi. Although, again, I didn't think they really did her character, you know, with the floating in space, flying in space and all that sort of thing. So no. No, never for me. Never for me. BB-8's okay. People remember BB-8, but he's probably the most redeeming thing for me of the sequels.
Very true. Very true. We got a super chat here from our boy Eric, Mr. Valkyrie Magnus, with a $4.99 super chat. Dude, thanks so much for your generosity, man. You're the sweetest, of course. We very, very much appreciate you. He says, watch the rest of the show later. Have a great stream, guys. Dude, you're the best, man. Let's see here. Let's give you a bam.
Bam! Peanut butter and jam!
Peanut butter and jam, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And definitely hope you enjoy on the replay as well. We got Little Titan in there as well saying, what's up, gents? Now we got another guest in the back room here, and we're going to get his take on our next couple of subjects here. But we got Mr. J, Mysterio Miotics, in the house with us. How's it going, buddy? Can you hear us okay? Can you hear us? Hello? Hello? I don't think you can hear us yet. We can't hear you. So we'll let you get back to it. I'm going to bring up our next subject here, guys, while we wait. Ryan Gosling's Project Hail Mary. I got to see this last night. So Adam gave it some pretty decent praise. I was like on Friday afternoon when we were chatting about it briefly in Instagram. And I said out loud to my friend last night, I was like, hey, we got to go see this movie. I'm going to chat about it like briefly on tomorrow's show. Now, this is completely spoiler free. It's only the second weekend out, so I don't want to give anything away. If you've read the book by, I think it's Mark Weir, same person who gave us the Martian. Andy Weir, thank you. Same person who gave us The Martian. Martian was awesome as well, with Matt Damon. Loved that film. And that book was great. I ended up listening to the audiobook of Project Hail Mary about a week ago. Ended up really enjoying the audiobook as well. And I will say the experience of this film in the theater was wonderful. It rocked me emotionally in a lot of different ways, if I'm honest, and really had me feeling it, both for the science fiction aspect, the world building of it, the stakes I thought were great. The acting was really, really strong. And you know, some of the characters within the film were really, really resonating. I really enjoyed it. So again, I just at a high level don't want to speak to any details because I still want to give people a chance to see it. But Adam, what was your thoughts on Project Hail Mary?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I did not read the book. You know, I actually first heard about this from you, Ben. I think it was, you know, we did some show a few months ago and upcoming films, and this was on your list. I'm like, oh, what's this all about? So like Googled it, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like, I was intrigued. So we saw it opening weekend last weekend, and you know, my daughter and I loved it. I think the lesson here is, as much as we love the franchise stuff, I mean, we just talked about Star Wars and you know, Marvel, some of the DC characters, and you know, keep giving I want more of that. As long as it's good, keep giving me more. As long as it's good, well written, well acted, well directed, well produced, yada yada. But the lesson here is, people saying, no one's going to the movies anymore. Well, yeah, because a lot of the content that's put out there is junk, and it's like, we'll just give them more franchise stuff that is half baked. This is a film that treats its audience intelligently. It's about, it's a science fiction film, and a little bit on the harder science, as opposed to science fantasy. But it presents it in a very easily understandable way. It's compelling writing and a great performance by Ryan Gosling and Sandra Mueller. She's a supporting role, and some of the other supporting roles. Just it's funny, it's exciting, and it's got a lot of heart. And the other great thing about this film is it really is a family film. You could bring your little kid, a 6-year-old, to this, if up to your grandparent, and they would enjoy it. But it's not like a PG type film that's like, roll your eyes, I gotta sit through this. Hollywood used to make movies like this, and they don't make them like this anymore. So that's part of the reason why among other things, yes, streaming, yes, post-pandemic, all those things, the phones, everything that's a distraction in our lives. But they don't make films like this anymore. And I think with the box office success, my hope is that they start making quality films like they used to, because I think it's excellent movie. Highly recommend
100%. I saw Ryan Gosling say that it's not the audience's job to keep theaters alive. It's their job. It's like they as actors and directors and screenwriters and all of that, it's their job to keep people wanting to go to these films and actually give them something that's quality to enjoy. And again, there was lots of emotional beats in this movie, but it wasn't emotion for the sake of emotion. It hit well with me on kind of all areas. And there was a lot of unexpected stuff in here that I felt very hopeful for. There was a lot of meat on the bone. It's something that I'm even excited to rewatch again down the line. So, and the book, if you've read the book or listened to the book like I had, I think it's a great adaptation of it as well. The only thing that I think that I liked more was the voice of Rocky in the book as opposed to in the movie. I liked it in the book audiobook more. Oddly enough, still really liked it in the film though. So, Jay, can you hear us there now, buddy? Are you locked in?
Yeah, I think so. I think I fixed my audio issue there. Could you hear me good?
Perfect.
Yep.
Mr. Mysterio Meotics,
Awesome.
Mr. J, welcome back to Let's Get Nuts. Good to see you here, buddy. I know you had a chance to see Project Hail Mary with your family. No spoilers, please. Just overall, what are your thoughts here? Is this a recommendation for the audience to go and check out?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I believe this was it was a strong film. It was very different from what I originally anticipated, coming from no background or no education in the books or anything like that. So I came in there pretty much blind. I watched one trailer, and it was very different. It's so hard to talk about without any spoilers, but I got to give props to the editing team. Like, that movie was put together so well. It kept me on the edge of my seat. It's a bit longer, but there was no time where I looked at my watch or felt bored, to the very end. And I absolutely love the humor in this movie too. Like, it wasn't like that very dry, in your face kind of Disney Marvel humor where they want to smack you across the face with that and be like, hey, we want you to laugh at it. This one was so subtle where I found myself just giggling the whole time and going, that was good. I like that. That was you could tell there was like humor for different kinds of people, and there were some jokes that hit more with others, and then there was just some that were just completely hilarious. But no, I give that a thumbs up. That was, as of right now, I would say that's probably my top movie of the year for sure.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Might be mine as well, especially like a theater movie that I've seen. And it's funny you mentioned, Adam, as well, getting, butts in the chairs again, right? Because I went to go and see this, or wanted to go see this movie last Saturday when it, like, opening weekend. And every theater in town here was sold out. Everyone. at all of the time slots. It was the first time I'd seen that in, man, years, literally years. And so I said to my friend yesterday, hey, like it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, I let you, if you want to go see this movie, I'm going to book the tickets like for tonight. And went online to my favorite 2 theaters. Both of those theaters were fully sold out. I ended up having to go to a shitty Cineplex, which I hate Cineplex here in Canada. They're the worst seats ever. I ended up at the 4DX. That was the only seats that were available, was the 4DX theater.
How dare
and I didn't
you.
know what I didn't
you.
know what 4DX was.
Yeah, it probably
It moves around and stuff, doesn't it?
Oh
cost
my
you a
god!
fortune as well.
It was like $56 for 2 tickets to go to see this movie, which was insane. You're sitting there in the chair. The chairs are not comfortable at all because you're like upright. There's no like recline to them at all. And they've got like what looks like roller coaster trays for your feet to sit in. And I'm like, this is going to be kind of crazy. Like I said to my friend, I'm like, I don't really know what to expect with this. It was like a roller coaster ride the whole movie. We're jolting back and forth in the chair and everything. They're squirting you with water and stuff. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I had the worst acid reflux by the end of that film. I've
seen quite a few movies in it.
Shaken
And
up.
we have enjoyed them, but yeah, some of them were insane. Like I nearly come out of my seat a couple of times because there's no seatbelt.
Yeah, there's no seatbelt, and they tip you forward at times, and you're like, oh shit, like I'm like feeling like right. It was cool though because there was a couple space scenes and stuff where it's like, okay, like you feel kind of the impact of what's happening around you, so like that was pretty cool. But yeah, it was this getting squirted with water. I think that that took me a little bit out of it.
There was a little button to turn the water off, but
you can't in this particular theater. You
really?
so they have the ones here called the D box, which you can turn off or turn down. This had no controls at all. You were just like there for the ride, which was
4DX
wild,
I've been to in this
honest.
country. You can turn it off.
4DX, that's different there, yeah.
But the other idea, and they do blast air at you, which is good, or like they can blast air into the back of your neck and stuff. But what they also used to do, which they seem to have stopped after COVID. I don't know if it's even just a coincidence, but they would also be whole movie effects as well. So they can do lightning and stuff. But we went to see the first Harry Potter, and they had snow coming down and stuff like that. You know, it was
wild.
And they could put smells in and things like that. But they don't tend to do that anymore. But
well, it takes me out of it when you're trying to eat your popcorn, you know, and then you get sprayed in the face with water.
It's just something about like no open drinks or something. You got to have something with a lid on,
right.
Otherwise we'll be wearing it. But
yeah. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I will give it that. And because we didn't know what we were expecting, we had a pretty good laugh a couple of times at both the experience of being in the seat, getting jostled around and shit, and then, as I said, getting sprayed. But totally would recommend this film, guys. If you haven't had a chance, either read the audio or read the book, listen to the audio book if you don't like reading, and or go and just see the film, give it a support. And you know what? Honestly, props to Ryan Gosling. You know, he's come a long way in his career. I've really started to enjoy pretty much everything the guy's in. I really enjoyed Gray Man. I really enjoyed Fall Guy. If you haven't seen Fall Guy, awesome movie about
it's fun. I was about
Stuntman.
to say that because I think my first taste of him was La La Land, and I can't stand that movie. So he was
Never saw that
like
one.
on the back burner for me. And then in Barbie, he was funny. And then Grey Man was good. And then I just stumbled upon Fall Man literally like 3 weeks ago. I loved it. I cracked.
Awesome.
I laughed all the way through. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked it.
And
now,
it
so,
teared me up a little bit too at one point. It got me a little emotional even. Yeah. And I love that. I love when movies hit like that. So
that's good.
Very
good.
If you want to see a kind of forgotten Ryan Gosling movie, I highly recommended. It's called A Place Beyond the Pines, and it is actually filmed near me here in Schenectady, New York. It's a crime film, and he plays like a 2-bit bank robber, and Bradley Cooper's in it. He plays a cop who goes after him, who eventually runs for New York State Attorney General. It's great. Eva Mendes, Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Ray Liotta. It is an excellent movie. A Place Beyond the Pines.
Great movie, dude. Actually, yeah, I forgot about that one entirely, if I'm honest. And rest in peace, Ray Liotta. He was freaking awesome too. And shout out, rest in peace to Chuck Norris as well. I didn't have him on the show sheet today, but like my grandma freaking loved Chuck Norris. She would watch Walker Texas Ranger all the time, and so she'd be devastated to know he finally passed. But yeah, I mean, he's an absolute badass. He's kicking butt up where he is now, I'm sure. Let's be honest. And Pete, I'll stick with you quickly on this next one too as well. I'll go to all the guys if you're interested, but Lord of the Rings set to potentially make a return with a screenplay co-written by Stephen Colbert and Stephen Colbert's son, who's also a screenwriter. One of the cool things here, which is why I put it on the show sheet, because I've seen a lot of people immediately write this off as being like, oh, well, if Stephen Colbert is attached to it, then I'm not interested. And I think part of that is because he obviously sits on a pretty left side of the political landscape in politics and commentary, right? And you either like him or you don't. It doesn't matter. We don't talk politics on the show, but I can see a lot of people just writing this off as an idea because of where they may stand politically. On the other hand, one thing that I have come to know about Stephen Colbert is the guy is practically a Lord of the Rings scholar. Like, he can actually like quote Tolkien like line for line, which is pretty impressive. And this has been something that's been 2 years in the making. So this isn't just coming as a result of his show getting canceled. Like, this is something that he had a screenplay written with his son, and he decided to go and approach Peter Jackson with this idea, thinking that like it probably wouldn't go anywhere, but what do you think? And the idea is that it falls within the books of Lord of the Rings, somewhere I think between chapter 3 and 15, somewhere in that range anyways, where the original films kind of breeze over some of that story. Sounds like there's a pretty meaty story within it that was kind of glazed over for the original films. And Peter Jackson read this new idea, thought it was amazing, and pitched it to the studios. And so in combination with Peter Jackson, as well as Peter Jackson's, I think I want to call her showrunner, but I can't remember if that's her official title. But part of the original, like, people who produced those original awesome Lord of the Rings films are back helping in the helm seat, with this new venture. So I thought this was pretty cool, pretty exciting. Again, the reason I wanted to mention it was more along the lines of, don't be swayed and not be interested in this if you don't like Stephen Colbert, because it does seem to me that this guy absolutely freaking loves it and is going to put everything he's got into trying to make this good. And if it's got the support of people like Peter Jackson, I can't say that I'm not kind of excited about this. You're a bit, you're a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan from what I remember anyways. Pete, what were your thoughts hearing this news?
So run that by me again. Which book does it take place?
I don't know which book it is. I want to say it was like in the first, but again, I think it's somewhere between chapters like 3 and 15 in the original book. I don't quote me on it, but somewhere in that range anyways, where there's a bunch of story that just wasn't really addressed in the original 3 films. Yeah. So kind of a gap.
One, I don't know this guy at all, so I've got no prejudice coming into this. It's great that if he's a diehard fan and he's going to put a lot of love and passion into it. It's kind of funny that they have to go to Peter Jackson now, like he is the like he owns the. I don't know what the actual legal thing is, but obviously it all kind of goes through him. Obviously we've got the Hunt for Gollum coming up with I assume this will be like a completely different cast, though. Well, it won't.
I don't know if we'll even see some of that original cast, right? Because it seems like it's kind of within the world, but potentially like a whole different section of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
So, no, I welcome it. I unlike a lot of people, I really enjoy Rings of Power. So to see any more material within that universe, I'm more than happy to give that a go. And when I was logging back, switching computers, I stumbled upon Gimli from InArt, and I mean, yeah, fantastic. That's going to get everybody.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him shortly
again. Yeah, looks great. So yeah, bring it on.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Adam, any thoughts here on Lord of the Rings? I can't remember if you're much of a Lord of the Rings fan or not, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I am a fan. I have the InArt Aragorn. Not as big a fan as say Star Wars, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of. I saw these all opening night when they came out.
That's a flex.
I got a different take on this. I'm not crazy about this. I think I saw a good chunk of the first season of the Amazon show, and not a fan. I saw the War.
Gets better.
The War.
Second,
Yeah, does people say the second season's better?
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about the War for the Rohirrim, the animated one. I think this is. It's a cash grab, and it's like they're finding like 6 unproduced chapters in the book, and I know they get the Tom Bombadil, who's a popular character from the novels that never made it to the films, but I just like there was a reason why it wasn't in the films in the first place, and now they're trying to find like a 2.5 hour film out of these like 6 chapters, and what else are they gonna try to pigeonhole into this? The Lord of the Rings trilogy is one of the greatest trilogies ever made, and leave it be. If they I guess they can't get, I don't know if the estate won't sell it or what, but I'm told that, or I've read, not I'm told, like someone told me this. I read
Peter
Jackson
told us. Don't worry
they're gonna
about
tell one Adam 12. Like, yeah, okay.
You never know.
I read that the Cimarron, like they can't, which is like a major epic saga. They don't have film rights to that. I mean, I don't know. I try to concentrate on getting film rights to some of the major stories that have not been produced. Not another prequel, sequel. Let's try to squeeze every ounce out of this. It was a genius trilogy. Leave it alone.
It's hard, right, Adam? Because we were kind of saying that about Project Hail Mary, in the last subject there, where it's like you and I were both really enthusiastic about the fact that it's kind of a new story. We haven't seen it before. It's not part of a sequel. It's not a trilogy. It's not like, going back to a source material somewhere. It's like other than the book itself, like it was exciting to watch something new and feel excited about that. And on the other hand, a lot of new content doesn't do the greatest. We have movie fans all the time saying we want original IPs, and then a lot of people don't go and watch original IPs, but they will go if they recognize where the film is coming from. So when you say money grab, that's how I feel, in the sense of like, I don't think it's necessarily a money grab if they actually do it well and there's love in it and they have people attached that will really like do their best work. On the other hand, I think that it is more guaranteed in terms of funds for sure if there's a Lord of the Rings name attached to it, because there's going to be the Gollum movie as well, the Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum first, it sounds like in 2027. So if that movie tanks, then I'd be worried about the future of this particular film that they're doing. So,
well, the other piece too is, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it at all, but what I would say is I'm not sure it's a good business decision to, as big a fan as he may be, and I don't doubt that, to, in these divisive times when they try to be looking to make as much money as they can, if they want to make a good business, is to have him front and center on this. I don't think it would be a good idea if they hired, say, like Greg Gutfeld from Fox News to be, if he was a big Lord of the Rings fan. Like, I'm not sure that's a good idea. So I think, we live in a very polarized time, at least here in the United States. And is this, we have a beloved franchise like Lord of the Rings, which is nothing partisan about that. There's no, now you can say, well, he's going to not make it. I think people are, people are going to be, they're going to have their Spock eyebrow raised to this.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing if, like I said, if they hired like Greg Gutfeld, someone on the right to work on a Star Wars. So I'm like, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, and you're right. It is hard when you have somebody who's, so Pete, just so you know, and for anybody who's watching who doesn't know who this person is, the Stephen Colbert, he's been in the comedic sphere for a pretty long time, but in like his last, I want to say decade, he's been like a big talk show host in the United States, and he typically does left lean pretty hard. He's and like, he's an interesting person to listen to. Some of his jokes are funny. But I will say that, like, over all those years of me periodically seeing his show, he's definitely really proven to be a Lord of the Rings fan. But like Adam said, it can divide your audience potentially. There's some risk there. So kind of interesting. I'll be curious to see where it goes. Nicolio says, make Isengard great again. Love to see it. Love to see it. Love to see it.
That's great.
Guys, we have 37 people watching live. Thank you so much for being here, getting nuts with us here on a Sunday. I'm going to say hi to you all shortly. We got one more warm-up topic before we get into our 6-scale section of the show, of course. But if you don't mind hitting the like button, if you're just watching now, if you haven't hit it already, it's definitely appreciated. Gets the show back out to all the folks so they remember that we exist here at Let's Get Nuts and that we've just had some time off. But, you know, most of the guys here on the chat either have kids or family with kids. And I thought this was an interesting thing. So this popped up on my feed this week. It says here from Culture Crave, Meta and Google have been found liable in social media addiction lawsuit. A jury found them negligent in the design and operation of their platforms. They've been ordered to pay $3 million in damages. The plaintiff is a 20-year-old woman who alleges she was addicted to Instagram and YouTube as a child. And then you see on the right-hand side as well, and I can leave that up as well so everybody can read it. But interesting thought here that I had, because as we progress in society, and you know, we're now at 2026, we're literally all having a conversation on YouTube as we speak currently. I was thinking about addiction to social media the other day, and I think this sets a kind of a unique and new precedent, right, in terms of what these companies could actually be found potentially liable for. Because I think most of us have a bit of a minor addiction to social media these days. Like, I was playing my video game the other day, and all of a sudden I felt like I had my phone in my hand and I was scrolling Instagram. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? I'm literally playing a game right now and I'm scrolling Instagram for no reason. There was nothing I was looking for. It's like muscle memory to pick up your phone and just start scrolling. Or like, again, I was at the movie theater last night watching Project Hail Mary. Awesome movie. And there's people scrolling their Instagrams while in the movie. And again, for 2 tickets, it was 56 Canadian dollars just to watch it, just for entry, right? And so it's interesting because obviously, you know, nowadays, especially with the functions of AI being incorporated into social media as well, you can't even speak around your phone without it suddenly giving you a targeted advertisement for pretty much anything that you were just talking about, as well as coming up with kind of predictive and addictive styles of algorithms so that you can continue to scroll. And one of the things that these companies have talked about is saying that there's like peaks and valleys for people's level of attention. So they either are interested or addicted to watching things that are hyper emotional or like hyper diabolical in the sense of like scary news or, you know, like car crashes or like stuff that's like, oh my God, like it's hard to look away from, right? And so it keeps people on the hook. But with these lawsuits actually being some level of successful, do you think that this could change the way that social media exists in the future? Or is this just the beginning? Because I'll be curious to see what you guys have to say about it, who have maybe young children or, you know, daughters or kids that, like, for me, like, I grew up with a cell phone after the age of about 16, but it wasn't really social media functionality until I was probably closer to 25. But by that point, I was kind of, it just is part of life, but it wasn't part of my whole life. I can't imagine a world in which kids now are on social media from practically the time that they're born, right? Like, they're given an iPad, you know, to keep them occupied in their stroller, you know, like it's crazy. And so, Adam, you have a pretty young daughter still, right? I mean, she's just finishing high school. What do you think about social media for you in terms of an addiction to it for yourself, how things have changed over the landscape of time, and what is your prediction for social media in the future?
I think just from holistically, social media is one of the greatest things and one of the worst inventions in human history. It's great because, you know, through the keyboard and, you know, through a tap of the phone, I have access to all the information in the world, basically. Well, except maybe where the UFOs are, but that's classified, I guess. But all the I have a lot of speculation on that, endless speculation on my newsfeed about that, and that's one of the problems is, you know, there's facts, there's alternative facts, and everyone's got facts on the app, but none of it's the truth. And what is the truth anymore? And we all live in our own individual altered realities because of social media. And maybe some of us is related to collecting. Our reality is just focused because we don't want to deal with a lot of things in the real world, in maybe family issues. You're focused on your collecting because that gives you joy and that gives you a dopamine hit. And holistically, the kids, I think, without a question, like my daughter's addicted to her phone. And it used to be when I was like, I got my first phone in November of 2001 after 9/11. It was a Motorola flip phone, so no social media back then. And ironically, I got it because of 9/11. Like, well, God forbid there's another 9/11. I need to have a cell phone to call my family, even though ironically the cell phones didn't work on 9/11. But whatever. Right. I finally caved. I got my cell phone then, and when I was a kid, my parents would. They'd punish me by grounding me. They said, you can't go outside, ride your bike, and play with your friends. Now, if you want to ground your kid, take their cell phone away and tell them they have to go outside and play. Because outside. I don't want to go outside and play. I want to be on my phone.
Smell of the air, touch the grass.
What? So, it's a good thing in that it brings us, like, right now we're together. From talking from Canada, New York, England, and people on chat from all over the world. That's a positive. That's a great thing. A shared interest about entertainment and action figures and hot toys, 1/6 collecting. But this, we know there's a dark side to everything, and there's a good and bad to it all. I just, we just see in general the way, but even in our world, sometimes you see on comments, people will say things on their comments when we're talking about an action figure that, would you say that to someone if you're right in front of them? But it's caused people to change their behavior, and I'm not so sure in a positive way. And we know, early science is, the studies have shown that the phones change the chemistry in our brains, and the kids, we don't know what the impact on their brain development is with the phones. And I know in New York State, we just banned cell phones in schools. You have to keep your phone in your locker or turn it in when you get into the school. And I guess in the first year they've done it, they've shown that the kids are more attentive, and they're less anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting too, right? Because of the introduction of AI as well, talking about schools. I was saying this to my friend yesterday because she was telling me that back when George W. Bush was president, he would typically speak to the population as though they were at about a grade 9 level. The previous president to him would speak at more of like a grade 12 level. And subsequently, it's gotten lower and lower and lower, like in order to address a nation of folks. And a lot of that, I think, comes from this reliance on even AI with social media now to do things like studying and helping you write essays and like all of the stuff that I have a work team of people who use ChatGPT, for example, to write their emails now so they don't have to think about what they're going to say in an email. Like it's really like changed the landscape. But, Jay, I would say that kind of what Adam was saying here, do you feel like Pandora's box is just too blown open at this point? Like whether or not lawsuits are happening, $3 million in damages is an absolute drop in the bucket for a Zuckerberg or one of those guys, right? Who cares? All they're going to have to do is change some legalese wording when you sign into your next iPhone, and boom, suddenly you don't have any power to sue them at all because nobody reads that shit anyways, and you're locked in, right? And so how will this change? On the same vein of that, Jay, I met you through social media, right? We sold a figure to each other on Facebook Marketplace and became friends. I've been buddies with Pete for 4 years now. Same with Luis, same with Adam, right? Social media, if it didn't exist, this channel wouldn't exist. So many of my friendships wouldn't exist. So there's so much good, and yet so much Pandora's box open for the bad side. What are your thoughts, Jay? Especially you have a young family too.
Yeah. Oh man, this is a multi-layered question. Just thinking about it gets my heart racing because
For sure.
being a family man and being also in the corporate world professionally, like you see how social media and any kind of like online anything AI affects a certain person regardless of their age. I mean, even with my daughter, she's 13. She just turned 13, and trying to regulate her use of cell phone is very, very difficult. And it got to the point where I had to force it, just so she could focus on homework, focus on school, eat as a family, because families that eat together stay together and things like that. There's so many old school things that I grew up with, without the cell phone being around, and with it now being around, it's changed everything. For me personally, I guess it also depends on the individual's perspective, but it's, to me, it's a tool, right? Social media is there. There's lots of advantages. There's the whole entire world at the tip of your fingers, but at the same time, because of these algorithms and all these smart recognitions and like all these ads that are going to be basically directed to you and what your interests are, it's going to further intrigue you and intrigue you to the point where it's like everything that I'm seeing is interesting at one point, and then you're just not going to be able to put it down, right? But at the same time, see, like my mind is going 100 miles an hour, but at the same time, it's like we should be able to regulate ourselves, and put it down, right? I work between 8 and 10 hours a day on the cell phone, on a computer, and when I get home, I deliberately have to put my phone down just so I could get some peace. And if I don't, that's where my anxiety comes in. That's where my depression comes in. I feel like I'm not, yeah, sure, I'm connected on my phone, but I'm not connected to the people and to the friends and family that I love. So I think it's an important lesson, not to be preachy, but it's an important lesson for people to take that time and just take a back seat from that cell phone, put it down, and just absorb what's actually around you instead of being in front of the screen the whole entire time, right? These lawsuits, honestly, I think this is just the beginning. I think we're at the point now where it's, what are we going to do as a civilization to actually slow it down? What are we going to do to stop it? Like AI, in the past 3 years, it's so hard to even figure out what's a real trailer or not, right? Like it's crazy. Like if you don't know your source material, or you're let's just say not super involved in, let's say, for example, pop culture, and you're seeing these trailers, to the naked eye, you're like, this is sick, this is awesome, right? These are some cool collaborations. And that's terrifying, because imagine that happening to us, where it's like Civil War, or any kind of like topic that involves violence, or any kind of topic that involves malice. We are not going to know what's real and what's not, right? And it's just a matter of time. Like I joke with my friends all the time, and Ben knows this too. I always joke, oh, Skynet's just around the corner. Yeah, it is, right? If we don't stop this, or if we don't put regulations or anything like that, it's such an open book with AI and social media. They're already pretty much merged together, and we're just going to have a huge guessing game moving forward. We're just going to be pointing fingers. We're going to have arguments and debates and what's real and what's not and what's legit. And it's a big spiral, right? Like I could talk about this stuff for hours, but for me anyways, like back to my point, it's regulate yourselves, put it down, and be part of that reality that you're in, and communicate with people outside of the screen, right? Develop those social skills, develop those interpersonal skills. It's so important, right? And just another quick one, right? I was doing interviews not too long ago. I was doing interviews for about 2 weeks straight, and I kid you not, people who are probably younger than 30-ish couldn't even look me in the eye during an interview, and they're shaking, and they don't understand the questions that I'm asking for the specific position that I was hiring for. But people who didn't grow up with a cell phone, so like 35, 40 and over, when I was interviewing them, those skills were there, they were intact, and they knew exactly what to say. They know how to present themselves. There was no anxieties and things like that. So you could tell like the social skills of people is also coming down as well. Yes, we're more informed, but the skills are not there on a interpersonal level.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy about the whole aspect of being informed, because I do agree. Like, there was a time where, something happening on the other side of the world, you may hear about it in the news, you might read about it in a newspaper, like there was some of those things, but there was usually some time in between. Now things happen in real time, but then the issue is that now you're also differentiating between what is real news or fake news. And, it used to be a time where you could say, well, I disagree with you for X, Y, and Z reason. But I could go and do my homework effectively. I could go and like pull some sources, and I could actually feel like I am informing myself or educating myself on something. But now with social media, you can find a group of anybody to reinforce pretty much any position that you have in your mind's eye. If you think that the world isn't flat, it's actually elongated. It's actually a big rectangle floating in the sky. I'm sure there is a group online that says absolutely the world is rectangular shaped. It's the craziest thing. And so it's hard to even do your actual homework these days. Lewis, you have a relatively young family as well, and Pete, if you don't mind checking private chat as well for me. You have a pretty young family, Luis. How does social media impact you and your family, and also maybe your collecting hobby? Because if you think about it, this is a collecting show. I got Jinx in my display yesterday. I finally had a chance to take some pictures, but I held off on unboxing that figure for days so that I could post social media photos. But then I feel kind of dumb doing that, because then by the time I got it open, I was so excited about the figure that I didn't really care about the social media aspect of it. I was just holding out to do it because that's just what you do, So what the heck? What are your thoughts?
It's tough. It's one of those things where, yeah, I've got little ones. Thankfully, we're not at the cell phone era yet. My daughter is the youngest of the three, and she's 9, and wants a cell phone just because of the ability to, I think, just scroll. But their biggest social media outlet is YouTube. And for the most part, they all do really good when we tell them no more YouTube. But they're hooked on shorts. And I see it now where even the unboxing videos that we look at, right? The traditional unboxing where you're taking out of the shipper, actually showing, cutting the tape, taking it out of the shipper, rolling the plastic sleeve down, that's all pretty much cut out, right? It's unboxings that we're seeing now is more of the kind of the ASMR, right? Where it's just really quick edits, and then you finally get to the figure being out, and that's what you're really focusing on. So, the landscape's changed tremendously because of the shorter attention spans that we pretty much all have now. But with kids, it is hard to find that balance of what is too much, what's too little. And even we're guilty of, we'll be all out eating at a little restaurant or whatnot, and my wife and I will just try to have a conversation. The kids want to butt in. It's like, here, we'll put YouTube on here, watch the show for a few minutes, right? And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. Is we want something to take our problems or take our reality away, and that's where social media comes in, something to escape. So thankfully we haven't crossed the full social media aspect. And even me, I'm not super big on posting what I get, and I would like to get better at that, but that could be a good thing, right? But it's one of those things where if you have to tread lightly and use caution, right? I think social media from a friend, from a family, kind of showing what you just got, what you're wanting to do or whatnot, do celebrating, event or whatnot. I think it's great, but it's the constant doom scrolling. It's where you're getting your feed from. Then one video pops up that shouldn't. Now you're, getting a ton more videos of that nature. And it's tough. It's tough to just turn it off because you're just constantly being fed. But from, a parent standpoint, it's scary because like Adam, like Jay said, it's one of those things where you really have to monitor what is happening to these devices and what's being fed to your kids, because That's all it takes is a couple videos, and next thing you know, they're thinking something that they shouldn't or watching something that they shouldn't, and they're just constantly being trained what they should be thinking, what to expect. So it's tough. It's tough, and it's something that we definitely have to monitor as a society. But when is it too much monitoring? When is it too little or too late to where we get to where we are now, and people are just on rampages and doing crazy things that they shouldn't just for views? You know, somebody getting mobbed, everyone's on their phone filming it, no one's helping anymore. At what point is it where we don't do that and we actually help, as opposed to letting someone get hurt or die at the very worst? So it's tough, man. And like, we're thinking these lawsuits are first of many. You know, I may have to talk to a lawyer after this and see what money I can get.
Yeah, see if we can get some money, right? Yeah, I'm addicted to social media. I hate to see it. I'm on YouTube all the time. Adam, your message here, buddy, says that something came up with work, so it sounds like you have to jump out. Is that okay?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. They put out a fire.
Man. I'm glad you were here, dude. If you have the opportunity to come back, open invite, of course. But if not, maybe we'll see you next week. So
yeah, if I get back in, I'll jump in. But if not, I'll see you next week.
Hell yeah, buddy. Well, all right. The One Adam 12th YouTube channel. Everybody go and subscribe to him after the show today if you haven't already. We appreciate you, buddy. Good luck with work, and thanks for being here, buddy, as always.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right now. We'll talk to you soon. And Luis, you mentioned something there to me as well that resonated with me in terms of like impact. And Pete, I'm curious what your thoughts here are too, because you've been part of Collecting Weekly for a lot of years. You've been doing your own Only Fools and Collecting YouTube show as well. I said at the beginning of this show here, when not a lot of news is coming up for a month, it's a huge time investment for me to put together Let's Get Nuts as a show. Like, not only am I organizing panelists, I'm building the slideshow, we actually do the show, like all of the things. So it's about a 5 to 6 hour commitment every single week. And in terms of YouTube algorithms, right, I get, probably somewhere between 800 to 1.3K views on a live stream, which is good numbers. I'm no argument there. I'm happy with that viewership. But then I can put out the shittiest short ever and get about 30,000 views in 10 minutes. And it's like the return on investment of time tells me that the YouTube channel, or like the platform, actually like supports me doing shittier short content than it does actually taking creative effort to put together like a show like this or longer form videos. And it kind of teaches you how to treat you, right? Like, for those of you who see the shorts that I post, just so you all know, I hate them all. I hate all of those shorts. But it gets me exposure to a broader audience. It just does. In terms of long form content like this, Pete, I have 100% male viewership. Now, that's not to say that I don't see Vita out in the chat there. It, for some reason, it doesn't log you, Vita. So just so you know, I know you're there, honey. But but at the same time, it says I have 100% male viewership for my longer form content. I have a 50% viewership of female content on shorts. So more female viewers on shorts, but we get subscribers. So again, for those of you who like my longer form content, thank you for sticking around and just ignoring the short garbage that has to go out in order to get other eyes on the channel. But it does, to me, Pete, teach me the wrong lesson, and it teaches me that this content isn't as important to people as shorts content. And I don't think that that's the case, but it's promoting that short attention span, like Luis mentioned. What are your thoughts?
I think it made me laugh when Luis mentioned shorts, because obviously, as being part of the Collecting Weekly network, we did kind of milk it for a while, and it did catapult us from something like 8,000 subscribers to like 70,000. And we were very upfront about it, that we were basically just whoring ourselves out just to kind of get some exposure. It's you have to do when you've got a channel, you're trying to get exposure, you're trying to get subscribers, you kind of do whatever you have to do. But I agree with you, and I think the problem with it is it's that time element again. Is that I think that what we do here, what we do on Collecting Weekly, what a lot of the other guys do, the live streams are the best things going, because they're not scripted, they're candid, they're off the cuff. You never quite know where it's going to go, and they kind of go off on tangents and stuff. But I just don't think that people have necessarily feel they've got the time to, there's so many things like, do I watch a movie? Do I play a game? Do I read a book? Do I do this? Do that? And obviously you have to kind of prioritize what you want to watch. And I find that I do watch probably more YouTube stuff now than I mean. Don't get me wrong. I love to sit down, watch a 3-hour movie, and just kind of like just completely lose myself in it. But how often do I actually get time to do that? Whereas I can go online, I can watch, a couple of unboxing videos, something like that. Complete, I'm not getting anything from it really. But it's all about what you can consume in the times. And obviously, when you got kids, I mean, my boy's 15 now, so I don't really see him. He's up in his room playing games and stuff. Luckily for us, he doesn't really have any interest in social media. He uses WhatsApp to just chat to some of his friends, but he's really not interested in that whole crap. And I think that probably if you've got girls, I think they're probably more into it than them. I think he couldn't care less. He just got no interest in being on Facebook or anything like that. Not to say that he might not in a couple of years. So we've not really had anything to worry about in that respect. But for me personally, I've never used, probably when it first came out, I used to use Facebook to, put those stupid things out like, feeling crap this week, and then so you get people to go, what's up, all that sort of thing. But now it's really purely just a way for me to engage with the different groups, collecting groups, buy sell groups, things like that. And as you said, Ben, it's allowed us for like us guys to be here together. We're spread across the globe.
Best part.
And we're live streaming. That's brilliant, because I think we all probably found, we all found that it wasn't really anybody in our immediate actual real lives that was into the same stuff as us, appreciated what we were doing. So to be able to find like-minded people and just chat shit about toys and stuff is brilliant. And I think there's a real positive mental side to that. But on the other hand, there is a very negative side, and to jump on what other people said, it really pisses me off now, the amount of fake news that is generated on social media. And it's like, so and so died today, and you're like, and you start having a conversation, and then someone's like, no, and you feel like an idiot, right? You feel like an idiot, and then you're like, I wish I'd gone and checked that now. So you sort of go and check it, and I just find it, I don't really know what the people that are generating that comment, what they get out of it. Do they really like, because they don't see you physically look at it and then start telling your wife that, Harrison Ford's died or what have you. So it's a weird sort of like faceless kind of sabotage, really. And it's also being used a lot for fraud, getting people to sign up for things that are not real, but you can click on a link and it will give you a proper advert for what it is and all that sort of thing. So I think it's very dangerous side of it now. And as I say, I don't indulge in it as a platform thing really, other than messaging. I just, and I can, don't get me wrong, I can sit there and scroll through buy sell groups for hours and hours and hours. So it's no different to what other people are consuming. It's still that doom scrolling type thing, and it probably doesn't do my wallet any good either to have all of that stuff on tap.
That's when I'm the most pissed off, Pete, actually, about it. If like with my own doom scrolling habit, is when I'm like, I could watch a movie right now, but like, that's 3-hour commitment or 2-hour commitment. I don't know. And then you end up doom scrolling reels on Instagram for 2 hours, and you like, didn't do anything productive. And it's like, man, I should have just started that movie.
Yeah,
Right?
I end up scrolling on Netflix or whatever subscription I have.
I was going to say the same
like
thing.
2 hours.
You could have just watched a movie if you just picked one. No, you scrolled it for 100%.
It's just the evolution of what I used to do in the 80s when me and my mate used to go to the video store and just spend 3 hours in there. And in the end of the day, go, there's nothing we want to watch. But we've enjoyed the experience. We've been together and around the video store.
That's right. That's right. Eating some of the popcorn.
Yeah, and we'd watched so many of them that we'd all, but so it's just evolved now to like the digital platforms. But yeah,
that is how it used to be. When I'd go to Blockbuster, I'd pick a couple movies off the shelf I'd never heard of before and then watch them. And then over the years of my life, those are some of the most memorable movies that I think back on. You know what I mean? So what's this movie called? Starship Troopers. Never heard of it before. But it's got Denise Richards.
bet
You
you
know,
are.
like,
Woo!
well, here, wow.
You saw the shower scene, yeah.
That's
I've done well here.
right. Guys, let's move on because we got about 40 minutes left of some 6 scale news that I definitely want to dive into. So thanks for getting warmed up, and hopefully you enjoyed the first segment of the show. If you're enjoying it, though, if you don't mind, hit the like button. We got about 50 people watching live right now. Thanks for getting nuts with us on a Sunday, of course. And again, at the end of the show today, if you haven't already, also make sure you subscribe to our buddy One Adam 12th on YouTube as well. Love that guy. I was happy he was able to be here with us as well. He's got such a great microphone voice, in my opinion. Every time he's on, he's just got one of those voices that I love it. So, but all that to say, let's say hi to our chat as we always do.
Is that everyone? I can want it more.
Nuts!
Assemble.
Nuts assemble. Today we had Valkyrie Magnus with us here. One Adam 12th. Good to see you back, buddy. Fig Poser. Love that you're here. Pop Culture Relics in the chat with us as well as on the show. You love to see it. Funky Cold Santa. Doug Guito here with us as well. You love to see it. 1 month later. What's up, everyone? Yeah, sorry it's been a while. We've been off, but I like having my vacation time there as well. Love you guys. Thanks for being back. Rachel Miller, my mom. The only reason that Let's Get Nuts exists is because she brought me into this world. So all thanks to her. Love to see it. We got Sith Lord Sam, InArt Gimli. Can't wait. Yeah, we're going to talk about him next. So stay tuned there, guys. We've got Gary's Grails here. Says hello, Ben, in the chat. Good to see you, bud. Thanks for being here as well. Johnny Chronicles with us with a very scary photo in the chat there. You love to see it, buddy. You love to see it. King Dingaling. Wouldn't be a chat without you, buddy. Thanks for being here as always, of course. We got Thalia Meyer in the chat with us. Hello and happy Sunday, everyone. Little Titan there as well. What's up, gents? You love to see it. We got Mr. Jim Collector with us here as well. Good to see you, Mr. Jim. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Clinton Martin in the chat with us as well. Says PHM. I don't know what that's referring to. I think what he was talking about was Project Hail Mary. Thank you. Project Hail Mary as a movie, 8 out of 10. Book adaptation, 7 out of 10. Book was 10 out of 10 in his opinion. Love to see that there. We got Clinton Martin with us as well. We got Cliff Strayer in the house. We got Mr. Dave, X-Men Supreme. Hope you're doing well out there, good sir. Thanks for watching as always. We'll probably get you back next week if you're free. That'd be great to have you back, buddy. We got Miss or M. Smitty or Miss Mithy. 82. Love to see it. Thanks for being in with us here today. Niculio, of course, as well, says that he falls asleep to Ben Thomas Show shorts. I'm so sorry. Thank you for watching, and I am sorry. We have, what is this? A Shirley Barber? Asserly Barber? The best thing about social media is that it proves misanthrope like me correct. People absolutely suck. Some people do. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. We got Vita in the chat with us as well, saying hi to everybody. She believes that the world is rectangular, and she's part of that group. So now we know. I'd love to see that. Who else do we got here? I think that's almost everybody. Yeah, that's everybody. Look at that. We got through it really quick today. Let's move on with the show then as a result, guys. But again, thanks so much for being here, getting nuts with us today on a Sunday. And again, please hit that like button if you get the opportunity. I'm going to start with a quick topic here, and then we're going to go into the 6 scale stuff. But, I keep hearing the word slump thrown around when it comes to hot toys lately. And we've got a couple hot toys on the sheet today. I've had about a month off of Let's Get Nuts because it didn't feel like there was a ton to talk about, even though I always miss the guys and I miss you guys in the chat. But there hasn't felt like there's been a lot of Hot Toys news that I've been like really excited about. Now, there has been a couple of releases that I've loved this year, I will say. My Alien Resurrections figure, the Xenomorph, freaking amazing. I absolutely love it in the display. I just got Jinx in this week from Arcane. Also, beautiful figure. If you love the show, totally recommend trying to get that figure if you haven't already. But otherwise, I have felt a bit slumpish in terms of the news. There hasn't been as many exciting announcements this year. And part of that makes me wonder if we're just kind of somewhat in between IPs at the moment, right? There's not a ton of new Star Wars stuff that we're super excited about. Marvel has had some hit and misses. You know, we got Spider-Man Brand New Day coming, Doomsday is coming. There's other stuff that's coming. We've gone back to the well a couple times, lots of 2.0s recently from things like Terminator or Alien or some of those, but does that make it exciting enough for the hobby? And if not, what have you been doing with either your dollars or your attention spans lately? If it hasn't been the Hot Toys news, what has really got you excited? So let me know in the chat, guys, as well, what has been most exciting for you with regards to Hot Toys so far in 2026, or have you felt the 2026 is a little slumpish? What are your thoughts on that, Pete? Nice quick thoughts before we get into
Yeah,
6K.
definitely. I love the Pablo Escobar shots. He did do a lot of sitting around or staying around, just looking and waiting. Funny. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know why. I think this year in particular has felt very slumpy. I think there's quite a few Hot Toys releases that were due Q1 that haven't made it out yet, so I'm expecting a little bit of the floodgates to open. I mean, I'm just
Gonna open up.
couple that I've got, the Hot Toys TIE Fighter pilot and the Freeze, which I'm looking forward to that. So Mr. Freeze, I think, like, for me, it tends to be the time when I maybe go back and buy some older figures that I didn't pick up in the first place. So I've kind of gone on a little bit of a Back to the Future kick recently. So I picked up the Saturn Toys Time Traveler, which is the Part 2 dock. Really good. And he comes with 3 heads. So I've used one of them on the Part 1 because it's much better than the Hot Toys one. I've got their version of Marty on pre-order, and I picked up the Part 3 Marty and Doc for
Oh, you did, eh?
decent
Cowboy
money.
versions?
Yeah, decent money. Yeah. And again, I've got another sculpt coming to swap for Doc because it's not as bad as once I got it in hand, but it's not great. So I do I do a head swap on that kind of thing. But yeah, and I think it's quite a good time. It's a good time for buyers at the moment with used toys, because it's hard if you're trying to Ben, it's hard when you're trying to shift stuff, but I think when you find something that you're after at a decent price, you can get some bargains. So I think I paid around £300 for the pair of them, so sort of good value in my mind, and they're they're decent figures. I think, and as somebody said here, obviously we've got the Aliens 40th anniversary. It's this year. Everyone's speculating that we're going to get some 2.0s from that. Everyone wants Ripley, the Power Loader, the Xenomorph, things like that. So that's a possibility. And obviously next year is just set aside for a New Hope 2.0, because that's going to be huge, the 50th anniversary of Star Wars and New Hope. But again, we're always going to have this period because of, I think, Lunar New Year is what we're supposed to call it now. It's more kind of culturally acceptable. It's always going to be a thing, and we are always going to lose that kind of that. It feels like forever, like 6 weeks. I'm not sure exactly what it is. And we just find other ways to spend our money, I suppose.
Very true.
And then we all struggle when we get hit with like 3 or 4 invoices in the first couple of weeks of April, and it's like, damn, I should have saved for those. But
they're all coming now.
Yeah. So nothing new really, but it does always feel a little bit a bit slow going. The same, we cancelled a NoFAQ because we just didn't have anything to chat about really. You got to have a couple of figures. You kind of
things,
the rest of the chat can roll on from now. I mean, we talked about the World Cup last week because we were so light. I said to Aaron, let's have a chat about the World Cup. I know you're excited about that.
For sure.
So yeah,
it's a difficult balance, right? Because I think people like hanging out with the people and the personalities, and it's just something to do, even just have on in the background while you're doing other shit. So it's like it doesn't have to be so impactful every time, as long as people are having fun. Something I tease Zach about a lot, right? Because Zach, host of Collecting Weekly, some weeks where we don't have a lot of news on the Tuesday show, he'll start the show by saying, we got a show, it's not great. It's probably going to be kind of shit. It's like, and I'm like, no, dude, like we're always going to have fun either way, right? Like we're always going to have a laugh. So
Exactly. Yeah.
For sure. Jay, I was sitting in your living room with you there, about a week ago right now, or 2 weeks ago, having a beer, admiring your collection. This is just one like quarter panel of your display. You've got display all over the place. Love the verticality in your display, if I'm honest, like how you got the figures up like that. I think that's freaking awesome. But while we were together, you were kind of talking a little bit about how your love with Marvel has diminished a little bit. You were thinking about maybe selling a couple figures and putting some others in, or kind of maybe waiting to see if Brand New Day or Doomsday still hits well enough that you want to stick to the Marvel display. With this kind of, I won't call it slumpy period of time where there's not a lot of news, but there's still some pretty exciting IPs. Terminator 2.0s, I know those hit hard for you. Kind of where are you at with Hot Toys collecting as of right now, and what have you been doing in this time where it's been just a little bit slower?
For the news, I'm actually appreciating that it has been a bit slower, so my wallet could take a bit of a break. Like all those announcements from 2024 and 2025, including the 2.0s, like my supplier, a lot of that stuff came for me between December and January, so I got slammed with like 7 figures in like a span of 2 months, and I was like, holy crap. That's like the best timing. And I was away on vacation too when that happened. But like when it comes to like the Marvel stuff, it slowed down for me significantly. I'm hoping that the newer movies would bring it back for me. But at the same time, when I'm thinking about it in that aspect, if a movie has to bring back that character for me, I don't think I should have it in the first place. And also, every quarter of the year, I would like to do like a whole revamp of my display. So like I'll do a bunch of reposing, repositioning, and things like that. So if I feel after that I still don't really appreciate that figure or that particular character anymore, then goodbye. See you later. Like right now, I'm thinking Guardians. Guardians is gonna go for me because I don't have all of them, right? And that's the other thing too. It's they teased that Drax. It never came out. Right, and then Mantis came out, which was it wasn't too bad, but that figure came and gone pretty quick. So I only have like Groot, Star-Lord, Nebula, and Gamora. Like those are the only ones I have. So they're not even a complete team. So I'm thinking about just departing with them.
Bring up some space, yeah.
But I'm thinking if I am going to depart with any Marvel figures, I'll probably wait until Doomsday, because who knows? Maybe they might have a more integral part in the movie. I'll fall in love with that character even more. But who knows? But honestly, this slump for me, I'm really appreciating it because I am a collector in other things. Like I'm a huge audiophile. I like to collect records and steel books. 4K movie steel books is a big thing for me. I'm recently getting back into VHS collecting. So I guess in a sense, like where that break is with 1/6 figures and Hot Toys, I'm kind of steering into that direction. So it gives that collection to grow and to breathe a bit more when Hot Toys and 1/6 was, hey, that's awesome. Nice.
I was at the flea market yesterday and I spotted this for $2 and I was like, hey, I'm gonna do what Jay does and put this in my display. So cool, man. I freaking love it. It's like, it's just so nostalgic. So nostalgic.
It is, yeah.
So sorry to interrupt. I just had to show you.
No, it's all good. And because like the 1/6 pretty much choked out all my other hobbies essentially. And with April just around the corner, the other hobby of mine is motorcycling, right? So I own a Harley Davidson, and it's not cheap to be
it's not
getting parts
the real
for that
Terminator.
and being part of the community and when it comes to motorcycling. And you know what, it's a good balance, right? I appreciate these little gaps in between, but let's see. I have a feeling probably Q3, Q4 of 2026 is going to be nuts. So probably we're going to have to brace ourselves for that because wasn't there just a figure that was announced for a particular movie? I can't remember what it was now.
Announcements recently for Hot Toys?
Yeah. Wasn't there a figure just announced for like a recent movie that just came out or a movie that's about to come out?
Mando and Grogu. We're going to talk about here
there
in a
it is.
little bit.
That one, yeah. So I'm kind of like thinking that's what Hot Toys is going to try to do. They're going to try and ride out that wave or that hype wave. So right before Doomsday probably comes out, they're going to be announcing a lot of Doomsday figures before the movie even comes out. So
Totally.
See how it goes.
Yeah. Well said, man. Well said. And Luis, before we get into all the 6-scale figures that we're going to look at here, any thoughts final on kind of what you do with the slower periods of time? I am with Jay. There's been a bit of the slump period where I'm kind of happy about it. Like I had my Blitzway DeLorean, for example, the 2.0 get pushed, as well as the Blitzway Ghostbusters, which between just those two items alone is like $3,000 or something. Like, and they got pushed about a month. So I was like, it's not a bad thing. It gives me a little more time to just kind of get it, allocated on the side here, and not collecting these things have meant that I've been going out on dates and just like doing things out of that, touching grass, getting out of the house a little bit, right? So not always a bad thing. What's been your slow period like?
Yeah, I've been obviously preparing and dreading next year with the 50th of A New Hope. I know that's just going to be an onslaught.
Been looking at that Farm Boy Luke. Like I should probably move him on soon. I know we're going to get him again.
For sure. And that's where it's like I have all of the original A New Hope lineup, and it's like, I should sell, but then I'm okay having like a duplicate and maybe pose the original one like crazy that I wouldn't do on the 2.0 or whatnot, or just buy an extra head and swap them out. Now I've got kind of the latest and greatest, but so yeah, that's where I know it's just a matter of when that we're going to get these 2.0s and preparing my wallet for next year, especially with Star Wars Celebration, and next year's just going to be a lot. So I'm okay with this slump. I do think that the lack of releases, it's telling of something, and I think they've kind of got these new licenses and IPs that they're trying to get out more and more, and maybe they're not wanting to stick all their chips with Star Wars, right? We all know Mando Grogu's coming out, third Mando release, and how many more can we kind of be forced to pick and choose if we want to upgrade or whatnot? So I think they know that they got to stick to some other stuff too, and not just focus purely on Mando. But I'm okay with this.
I think it's actually, isn't it the fifth? I think it's the fifth Mando, isn't it? You've got
Durasteel,
Durasteel,
Chrome,
Beskar, then Chrome, and now this new one. Yeah,
they reissued the Durasteel with the Blurg.
Yeah,
and now you've got this one. So yeah, it's 5 really.
Yeah,
that's
ridiculous. And
5 kicks at the can. That's insane.
And I know we'll talk about that shortly. And that's where it's like, maybe they're starting to realize, you know what? Maybe Mando Grogu is not going to save us, right? It's not going to take us to the 50th next year. So, in the meantime, I've actually been buying some Lego. I know the UCS Falcon is retiring this year, and that was a purchase I didn't want to make, but rather now, it's an amazing set. So, that's pretty much
but so sweet.
I love it, and as a huge Falcon fan, I've always wanted it.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is the last year, I'm like, well, I better get it now, otherwise I'll pay double or triple the price. So I've been kind of getting into Lego sets, but it's crazy. I mean, even Lego now, like, if I had gotten into Lego Star Wars back in the day, I mean, some of these sets are well into the thousands. I mean, Lego is that's a whole nother topic, but that could have been one of the things, that I would be collecting more had I known, right? It's always the shoulda, woulda, coulda. But they're fun. And I think Ben, you got the Enterprise not too long ago too, right?
Yeah. Love it, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so
So,
awesome.
You know, like a true
I lit it
collector
up.
when
I
one
lit
brain
it
slows
up.
down.
So when I 100% when I go to bed at night, I turn on the Enterprise, so I've got like a light on in the bedroom when I turn off all my other lights. Greatest thing ever, man.
I believe it. I believe it. I mean, Lego's doing amazing things, and then you have these like third-party lighting kits. So that's where I don't want to say all
So
my
cool.
money that I would put towards Hot Toys is going towards, but definitely, you know, an extra $30-$40 here and there. You know, it's fun.
I would buy more Lego, but it's the space thing. I mean, I've already got the
Yeah.
Falcon, I've got the Razor Crest. I'd love to get the AT-AT, but I've just got no. I mean, I'm struggling for room with the 1/6 stuff and a big Lego set. You know, you can get the Mos Eisley,
Right.
you know, canteen and all that stuff. There's so much stuff. But it's like I don't have anywhere to put it.
Yeah, space is
Yeah.
a huge factor. So
displaying it in a way that feels classy, I think, is hard, right? Because it's
for sure.
like anybody can set up a Lego set on a table, but like you don't want it to get bumped. You don't want to lose pieces, especially the expensive sets, right? Like it's hard to find like a good classy way to display it, and that's one of the reasons I moved into 6-scale collecting from, because I started with collecting Lego minifigures. I had all the different characters that I could find. I was buying sets just for the figures at the time. And even those I had a hard time displaying. Now I have recently purchased, I can't remember where it's from, Bricklink, I think. It's like a display cabinet for minifigures specifically, and it holds like 250 minifigures.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna get some figures up here pretty soon,
That's
which
awesome.
I am very, very excited about. But again, same idea. I had to, that was like a $300 unit or something like that in order to display the figures, right? So, and I mean, talking about the slump, right, as we move into the rest of the news here, it's interesting because even if Hot Toys has had a little bit of a lull, it doesn't mean that other companies have at the same time, right? We're looking at a Siberian Customs Studio Jurassic Park, figure here, right? Alan Grant, I think is his name. And it's crazy because we also just recently had seen that Factory Entertainment kind of debacle with whether or not they were using AI generated images of Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm for their Jurassic Park figures, as well as their Mummy figure, right? That was all during our Let's Get Nuts hiatus. But clearly this character in particular has a lot of love. Jurassic Park itself has a lot of love. And so whenever Hot Toys has a bit of a slow period, it is nice to be able to look to some of these other companies and kind of see what they're doing. Now, Siberian Customs, from my recollection, they did a Blade figure last year. I think there was only can't remember how many of them there was, but I think it was going to be like an $800 figure. So it was pretty wild. Like clearly their cost of their customs are quite high. But then of course we have characters, Pete, like Gimli here from InArt as well, right? And so you can speak to either of these, Pete, or both of them if you'd like. What are your thoughts on both, Siberian Customs giving us a Jurassic Park figure, or Gimli here from InArt?
So I've got a Siberian Customs Indiana Jones outfit set amongst others, and it's really good quality. They're great tailoring. I mean, I think this looks okay. I think the only thing I would say is that it's too clean. It's like he's just bought that and just come out of the out of the shop.
He hasn't got to the island yet.
Yeah, but even before that, he's digging now. He's on the floor. He's on his knees. He's dirty. He's dusty. So I think with a bit of weathering up and a bit better kind of, and that shirt sort of, it just needs a bit of futzing. I think it could be good. I love Jurassic Park, but I don't really. To me, the stars of that are the dinosaurs. Or obviously you need
the Jeeps.
Yeah,
Jeep itself, I think, is a character in and of itself, right?
See, Lego's bringing out the Jeep in a bigger scale.
Oh yeah,
not the Ford, but the actual the red and grey Jeep. So that'd be cool. If you could get a dinosaur, someone made a true 1/6 scale dinosaur, and I get even for a Velociraptor would be your only real viable option. It's still huge. So as much as you need the human characters, I don't feel like that I would want to own an Alan Grant. And who knows what's going on with that Factory Entertainment, whether that's all just made up. Gimli, absolutely. Now, I've got the Asmus Gimli, and he is fantastic, and he's undoubtedly the best. I think most people say is the best of the Asmus Lord of the Rings line. They did really well with him. You know, he's got the rooted beard and hair and stuff. Couldn't really fault him, and I think a lot of people were saying he was the only one of theirs that could kind of stand alongside the InArt and hold its own. But obviously, we knew this was coming. It does look phenomenal, and I think having bought Aragorn and Legolas, I will pick him up. It'd be interesting to see where they kind of have improved. The only downside, and it's difficult to tell from these couple of picks so far, is whether the chainmail is actual real metal chainmail or it's just. It doesn't look like it here, because I customized my Asmus one, so he's got a real chainmail shirt and bits and pieces. So that's probably something I'd want to do with this one as well if it didn't. But I think if they did do that, if it was real metal chainmail, I mean, obviously that would take it a level above. You'd pay a lot of money for it. I mean, obviously we don't know how much this has been solicited at the moment. But yeah, I think I'm in for him. I think.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It looks amazing. I mean, you can definitely see the actor likeness in here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually think that InArt has given us some of the best figures ever created in the Lord of the Rings lineup, if I'm honest. Like, they are amazing figures. It's
I
insane.
think they've all been bangers.
Amazing stuff. And like the rooting here in the beard looks really crazy good. It's just like, I mean, if you're a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I can't believe anybody would want to try to pass these up, at least to get the Fellowship together, right? I do wish they'd come together with the Fellowship maybe a little bit faster for collectors. I think that would be my only nitpick there. It's been really drawn out, but still.
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, you know, we've not seen they've not solicited Sam and Frodo yet, and they were talked about a long time ago before even they confirmed that they were going to do Gimli, I think. So there's obviously some issues around those, and they know that Gimli will sell well, particularly because it gives people the Hunters 3-pack if they've already got Aragorn and Legolas. This is a no-brainer, but I think it would be good to get the Fellowship. But I think they obviously know that what's left to come are going to be the lower sellers. You know, a lot of people aren't going to be bothered about Boromir. I would be interested in Boromir because I've got the Asmus one, and the head is crap on it. The outfit's fine and everything, but it doesn't look like Sean Bean, and it's got, you know, really bad doll hair kind of thing. So I would be into that. But Merry and Pippin's going to be a hard sell, I think, for them, because, you know, if they're, I don't know if they're going to be a little bit cheaper because they're smaller, probably not so, and paying £350 for each of those, I think they're going to struggle, because there'll be a few people that will want the full Fellowship. But I think
for sure
it's now, after Gimli, it's kind of like a law of diminishing returns. Frodo will be popular. The others are a little bit harder to sell, because
I seem to remember them showing Frodo and Sam together at one point. I feel like a year ago or something, right?
I don't know if they actually showed head sculpts. I think they might have just been like silhouettes saying what was coming. So they're doing the opposite of XO6. They're going out with the big guns first and hoping that people will hang on, whereas XO6 just teases and teases and teases for years, and you know, and maybe never even give us the figures we actually want. So
you're not wrong. And then it's hard to know what model is the way to go, right? Because anything from the developers at XO6 say that they don't want to give us all the main characters right away because that'll put them out of business.
Yeah, but it's weird.
But I'm also like, but how wouldn't that fill their bank accounts? So like, I don't understand.
They're giving us nothing
mentality
from the original series. You should have given us Kirk or something, just to get people locked in.
Started.
Right now I need them all.
Locked
but
in.
Not to do any of them, and just keep saying, "Oh, we've been perfecting our craft." We haven't, because a lot of the stuff that's coming out recently is really shit, and it's worse than stuff you brought out 3 years ago. So that's not a great argument, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Niculio says they showed a mock-up of Frodo and Sam a couple years ago, no actual figures. Yeah, I remember them showing it, but I couldn't remember if they actually showed the figure or not. Luis, before we move on to Rocky here, any thoughts on Gimli and or Alan Grant, Jurassic Park?
I'm a big JP fan. unfortunately, Factory Entertainment, I feel like they're burning bridges before they've even really took off. Um, Me being a licensed collector, I feel like I need that grant. But again, if it's going to be after taxes and shipping $400, maybe not. So I, will kind of wait to see. I think Comic-Con is where they're pushing everything to really show the market what they have in store. And this may just be what they need to just kind of not talk and just wait a few more months to really unveil what they have in mind or in store for us. So I'm hoping for the best for them, but right now it's not looking good. This could be something that I may pick up in lieu of, but if they can really do well, then I'd be happy spending, $300 or whatnot. But with what they're doing with the Jaws figures, no way. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Wait till San Diego Comic-Con, Sideshow being there. That's going to be huge too. But yeah, so other than that, I love what InArt's doing in terms of the realism and what they've done with 1/6 scale. Obviously, because of InArt, we have the Artisan line, we have J&D, the Kojin work. So I don't envy Lord of the Rings fans. I do like Lord of the Rings, but as much as the next casual fan. But there's no denying the quality that they're putting out with these figures. So good for the Lord of the Rings fans. They're eating well in terms of figures. But, Fellowship is just kind of scratching the surface of what they can do. And this is going to be an impressive display if you do get them all. But, I mean, good luck. It's like how Star Wars... how we are as collecting multiple versions of the same character, different looks or whatnot. This is going to be an expensive line, but no doubt it's going to look great.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, well said, dude. Well said. I am excited to see collectors get these figures in hand. I think they're going to be amazing. I think they're going to photograph beautifully, right? The likes of folks out there like Jim and Vita, for example, who take photos of figures. Like, man, some of those pictures are just insane. And that's part of the artwork of these figures too. I love it, right? So if you guys are watching live or in the replay, let us know what your thoughts are on Siberian Customs Jurassic Park figure, especially if the Factory Entertainment ones just are questionable at the moment for you. And yeah, what are you thinking about this InArt line so far? It's taken a little while to get these, but is that okay if it means that the quality is absolutely smoking it, right? And when we talk about smoking it in terms of quality, and other companies, right, during this Hot Toys kind of slump or lull or whatever, we have guys like Sylvester Stallone with his own 6-scale figure company giving us the Ultimate Edition Rocky figure. Now, admittedly, I'm not a big Rocky fan. I've been to Philadelphia. I've ran up the steps like he does in that movie, cheered at the top and stuff like that. But that's about it for my love for it. Like, I've seen all the movies. There's a couple of moments that I think are really wonderful. Adrian, I didn't do that well, but you know where I'm at. So on the other hand, when I think about Rocky, I also think about this brisk iced tea commercial.
Rocky Balboa taking the training of his life. You're ringing that bell. I can't concentrate. It's over, Rock. Now that it's over, just give me something to drink.
Brilliant.
That takes me back. Between that and the Pizza Hut commercial where they were advertising at the time the cheese-filled crusts, and the girl gets on an airplane and it stretches the cheese from the restaurant all the way up into the airport. That's old school commercials. But for me, like, you know what? I think if you're a Rocky fan, this doesn't look bad. I like the figure body on it here. The shorts look pretty cool. If you do get the deluxe edition, you get a couple different swap outs, including his like beaten up face, which, to their credit, it does look like Sylvester Stallone when he's making that face. Like it doesn't look terrible. I will admit, but like for me, it's not a figure that I would need to collect. I like that it comes with the ring. I like that you got the Balboa, what do you call it? Like house coat kind of thing, or fighting coat. Overall, not for me. I do think it looks pretty cool. I can open it up to any of you three guys or all of you at the same time. What do you guys think of Rocky Balboa? And what do you think of Sylvester Stallone putting his hat in the ring for his own 6 scale? Like, I mean, that's kind of wild in its own.
Yeah, he's done did a couple. He's done Cobra, hasn't he? And Rocky. Sorry, Rambo from the first movie. I wasn't really that impressed with either of those two. I was hoping that this would look better than it does. I don't think it's great. The body's quite good, but I'm not really a massive fan of either of the sculpts. And obviously, what you're getting is very bare bones because he's not wearing a lot. And I know though that's obviously true to the movie, but yeah, I think I'm going to pass on this because I've got all three of the Rocky Rambo figures from 3-0, and they're great. And I think, you know, for me, if you're going to represent one Sylvester Stallone character, it would be Rambo. I love Rocky 4. I think that was probably my introduction to Rocky because I was, I think, 10 at the time, so I may have even seen it in the cinema, and kind of then went back to the older ones. It's just such a great hype movie with even Drago and all that kind of thing. Just really, I mean, I can't imagine how patriotic it feels if you're an American watching it, but even when it gets you going, you know. So I love the movie, but yeah, I wanted to be blown away by this, and I think it's just 7 out of 10. It's okay, and obviously to get the second sculpt, you got to go for the full package, and I feel like they do put a lot of stuff behind. Paywalls cost, there's a bit like Caustic Plastic. You kind of have like these 3 levels, and actually, you know, to justify getting it, you want the one that's got everything in. But you're getting up into $600-700 for some of these things, and But
the boxing, like the mat, is pretty cool. Like the ring itself, like that is a cool.
It's huge,
like,
though.
diorama display. It is huge.
It's going to take up, you know.
It is huge. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Jay, you were saying you had some thoughts on this one as well. What do you think of the Rocky figure? Are you a Rocky fan, or is this something you'd just be interested in terms of figure wise?
Both. I grew up with
nice.
all the Rockies. I mean, Arnold and those 80s guys, Arnold, Jean-Claude, Sylvester.
Legends.
Absolute legends. And, you know, I grew up in bodybuilding as well. So, like, the physique of Sly is ingrained in my mind. Like, he was not huge, but he was just absolutely ripped, just out of his mind. But I think, honestly, if you are a Rocky fan, this is the best one that has come out so far, in my opinion. I agree with you, Pete. Like the Cobra. Well, I was actually really wanting that Cobra until I saw the blogger photos or the in-hand photos, and I was like, oh man, that's rough.
Yeah.
So I didn't opt out the cash for that one. And the first Rocky movie as well. Like that, the figure was good with a big slab of meat and whatever. Like that was pretty sweet. But I think if Drago, Rocky 4 is the one for you, I'd say pick this up. However, though, isn't there like some sort of controversy when it comes to like the business manager or marketing manager for this particular company? Because I was reading some pretty serious stuff online about this.
Oh, I don't know.
Not the figure particularly, but whoever is the representative, like just roasting people online, saying you don't know anything about figures, and they're trying to justify like this. I think it was like $600 price tag, $599. I think it was $599 USD.
Guy works for J&D now. You love to see it.
Yeah. So they were just there was this huge back and forth. So if people could look past that and say, hey, I'm willing to back a company who calls their customers a bunch of idiots, go ahead.
That's right.
I kind of draw my line there a little bit.
X06.
I would kind of draw my line there, but honestly, if we're just looking at it like on a figure perspective, then yeah, for sure, go for it. I do have the Rambos in my collection, and I do like the Rambo over the Rocky. Right, those Rambo gives me a lot more testosterone for whatever reason than Rocky does.
Just about, and I think someone put in there no rolling eyes, and I think again that's where with Hot Toys and InArt have stepped up their game. So every Hot Toys now you're getting rolling eyes. These other companies, they're like 2-3 years behind with it. I know it's a newer company, but if you want to get in with the big boys, you've got to have the same technology that they're putting out.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part with a third party, or even if you call this one licensed. But for the smaller companies, it's so hard. Like, sure, the promo shots look good, like that picture on the right side there with his with that face. That's literally how he looks like in the movie, and I love it. But let's wait till we see what it actually looks like in hand, and and go from there. Right, because to spend $600 on a maybe is a pretty big risk, right?
Yeah, that's a huge risk. Yeah, that's wild. X-Men Supreme says, Fabio Vercelli and Sean Dabbs. This was made by Caustic Plastic. It says this was made in the Sylvester Stallone shop, though. So I thought this was still his but I didn't, like, maybe there's some combination.
I think he
I don't know.
Collaborates with, I think there's some artists that work with,
because I know Sean Dabbs also works with Jazzinc, right? For
I think they're affiliated with a lot of these smaller companies because they don't have that skill set in house, but they use other artists to kind of
totally. Frank says it's a full payment and you have to wait a year. Whew, that's a lot up front.
It's always full payment.
Wild.
Yeah.
Oof, I don't like that. I definitely don't like that. Real quick here on Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice. This is a sideshow creation. All we've had so far shown is this literal teaser image, so nothing too crazy on this. If you got the sideshow Beetlejuice like I have, if you're a big Beetlejuice fan, I actually really freaking love that figure. He's got the big belly. The way he stands is great. I think the figure body is fantastic for a sideshow figure, especially. They did a wonderful job with the Beetlejuice of the details on Beetlejuice's hands and the cruddy nails and the rings and everything. Like, they did a great job. I think honestly Sideshow didn't get enough credit, while the Hot Toys Beetlejuice for Beetlejuice also turned out really well. And I actually think Hot Toys from proto to final on their Beetlejuice figure increased it dramatically in terms of likeness. I thought they did a great job. For me, the look of Beetlejuice still comes from that first film, and this particular version of Lydia is the younger version of her as well, obviously from the first film. Now, if they've given her a camera, they better give us a Polaroid of the Maitlands in their ghost sheets, they're the cutout bed sheets, because that's this scene really in a lot of ways. But as much as I love Beetlejuice, and I think Winona Ryder is still badass after even all these years, I don't know if I will need this figure, if I'm completely honest. This feels like one of those, like, when we're talking about lulls, if you have a little bit of extra money set aside, like, it's a nice to have, but it's certainly not like a needs to have.
And if it's sideshow, it's going to be expensive as well.
Well, the sideshow Beetlejuice, I think, was $285, which, it is definitely up there, right? That's kind of like the standard Hot Toys pricing. But again, the reason that I mentioned the quality of the body and the paint apps on that figure was because, like, it was still pretty great. It was a great figure. And Beetlejuice could get away from having kind of the crazy hair. I styled it in a way that looks really cool. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think I can skip Lydia on this one. You guys are kind of in the same boat on Lydia for now, at least, or?
I was thinking, like, if it was a third party and you could pick it up for $120 or so, you go, I have that as a companion piece, but it's going to be sideshow. It's going to be around $280, and I think unless you
even
at
$250, it would be getting up.
Yeah, there, right? I think unless you're an absolute diehard, it's not really a consideration. And I think if you want to represent the movie, then obviously having the main man is probably enough.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly right. In fact, I see people, out there saying, like, even, like, some of the other characters then from the Beetlejuice film, like, if they're going to give us Lydia, are they going to give us, the Maitlands? Because the Maitlands, like, I would love, if we were going to get the Maitlands, I'd love to see them when they're trying to scare the family and they, they got the fingers up through the head and the eyes popped out in the mouth. Like, those would be cool Beetlejuice figures to have, but, like, Lydia is, like, I don't know, she's, like, not that cool, not in terms of a 6 scale, not to take anybody's excitement away if you're excited to have that character, but there's just more that I think they could do with the line. And similarly, like, Born Again season 2 is out now on Disney Plus. I haven't got a chance to watch any of it yet, so I'm trying not to have any spoilers here in the chat for it as well. But we've got this tease for the Daredevil outfit, which very much looks like it's not an actual black outfit, but it looks like he's somehow painted over his red outfit and drawn DD on his chest. I don't know how he drew it. If you can't see, maybe Karen drew the DD on his chest. Like, I have no idea, but I think it looks cool. I think that there's an opportunity for this to be a definitive variant of Daredevil, but on the other hand, I'm excited to see what happens in season 2, potentially what happens with him if he ends up showing up in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I have a feeling that he will be in there. He was in some of the previous Spider-Man films. Even if it was a brief cameo, it wouldn't be surprised to see him pop up. Yeah. And just like any Marvel show or movie, we consistently get a new variant of the outfit every time we see these guys for the most part. So this might be the figure, or it might be one that we can kind of, hold off on, right, potentially, and see if there's a bargain bin opportunity for him. I do think that they'd started to dial in the Charlie Cox likeness pretty well, especially on their most recent figure announcement. That figure hasn't come out yet, the red suit, but with the Charlie Cox head, but it does look like him. To their credit. And we're going to talk about the Pedro Pascal head sculpt here shortly, because even Pedro has come a long way in terms of the likeness for that figure for Mando. And so I can see them to continuously tweak this one here as well, if we got a head sculpt with this guy. But real quick because I want to keep the show moving, I don't want to take too much more time of you guys today. Any thoughts on the Daredevil figure, just at least in terms of this tease?
Not for me, no.
Not for you, eh? Yeah, Luis or Jay?
Well, I did watch the first episode, and I love the way the suit looked in the show.
Sure.
If they could make that look at least relatively close, then I would be confident. I would be confident
that Keith, you're not wrong. Sorry.
I would be confident that collectors would be quite happy. And to be honest, the first episode of season 2 I liked a lot more than the first season. So I like the direction that it's going. I'm hoping that it stays consistent. And if it does, I believe that this figure would be a big hit. Big hit.
Absolutely. Well said, buddy. Well said. I'm going to keep us moving because, again, we got about 15 more minutes of the show, and I still want to talk about Iron Man quickly, Mandalorian quickly, Jazzinc very quickly, and then we'll wrap. So a little bit more on the show if you guys can stick with me for a little bit longer here. And again, we got about 50 to 55 people watching live. If you're just joining us, please hit the like button if you haven't already. It would definitely help and be certainly appreciated. The Iron Man Haze fractal armor got announced this week as well from Iron Man 2. Pretty cool looking figure in the sense of like the outfit, like the coloration is pretty crazy. Not for me in terms of the figures that exist. Like, I think we've talked about this before with other Iron Mans. Like, there's definitely a world in which if you're an Iron Man collector, then man, you've been eating real well for the last couple of years in terms of all of these amazing figures that can come out. On the other hand, like, I will say for my own self that the Mark III, the Mark 7, even the Mark 1 reissue that they did, and then really the Mark, was it the 84 as the final Endgame suit? I think it's 84 or 86. I can't remember.
85. Right in the middle, mate.
All around it, somewhere in the middle. I think those are my favorite of all the suits. I don't know if I would need any other ones. And even then, I still only have my Mark 7 on display. The other thing that keeps plaguing my brain when it comes to Iron Man is some of them are LED and some of them are not. I forgot to check to see if this guy was LED USB. So if you guys can let me know in the chat if it is. But again, I think that they should be. If it's not, I think that that's kind of a next step. But I also envision a world in which we're going to get 3.0s of virtually every Iron Man we've ever had. With that technology.
How are they branding this Iron Man 2? Is it just because it's the Mark IV and that was the one that suit was in? Because there's no way we saw this.
I think so.
Or
no, it's because it was the Mark IV suit.
Yeah, okay.
No. Yeah, exactly right.
It looks pretty. Right. It looks like one of those like Swarovski crystal kind of things you get, but in a 6 scale.
100%.
But yeah, come on. More Iron Man, blimey. I mean, it's good for showing off their kind of, how good they can make figures, but and objectively, it looks good, but I have no interest in owning it.
For sure. it's one of those things. Like if somebody got it for me as a gift, I'd
Oh,
be
absolutely.
stoked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it would
And you
still
lit that
display
well,
really
and,
cool,
yeah, it
you
would
know,
look
and like,
great,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Light it well. Or it's like you have like an office, you know, like at work or something where you could maybe have it up on some lighting and you know, like you said, almost like a Swarovski kind of crystallized figure, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Hanging on the Christmas tree.
Yeah, and the Mark IV is a cool suit as well, right?
Yeah,
I like that the Mark IV still had more of the mechanized look to it than the later like nanotech look. I always like the mechanical style of the outfits more.
Why the 7 still feels so classic.
Just hits so good.
Yeah.
It just hits so good, you know, for sure. Jay or Luis, before we jump over to Mando, any thoughts here on Iron Man? The Haze Fractal, is this something that gets you kind of excited, or is it like a pass only for Iron Man collectors? Where you guys land on this one?
I mean, I'm excited for the Iron Man collectors.
Sure.
I mean, it looks nice, but for me, it's like, what's the reason for it to exist? But
money.
If you're a fan of Iron Man, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, more power to you. I mean, it's beautiful. It's stunning. And with the proper lighting, if you got the good lighting setup, it's gonna pop for sure on your shelf.
Right. We have 53 people watching. Is there anybody in the live chat right now? No, and again, no shame, because I'm surprised Moose isn't in the chat. He's probably got 2 of these coming.
Yeah.
But is there anybody in the chat who is getting this figure? I'd be curious. Again, all the power to you. If you think it's cool, that's awesome. There's no teasing here. I'm just curious because like we have a pretty consistent audience week over week when we're doing the show, and at least in terms of the panel, unless Luis is going to prove me wrong, I feel like this is kind of a skip for most of us. Where are you at, Luis, for Iron Man here, buddy?
I love Iron Man. I you know, unfortunately have been selling a lot of my marks off just because of the inevitable 3.0 and the USB versus the batteries. It's just a matter of time. I think for the slump that Hot Toys has had with lack of releases, for them to release this, you know, almost kind of like a slap to the face, right? We've all been waiting for something big, and this is what they give us. So it's fine. It's just another variant. So for the hardcore Iron Man collectors, it is a good looking suit. Can't deny it, but just another way for me to save money. So that's fine. It does kind of take away from maybe one of the exclusive releases for the year. But, you know, one less Iron Man that we'll have in the next con exclusive or whatnot. So we'll see. But I think they're just trying to get as many Iron Mans out before, you know, Doomsday, and then see how that goes. So it looks good, but not for me personally. Not enough for me to draw a coin.
I'm gonna wait for.
Then you went fishing and you got to buy it.
Yeah. There you go. I was curious. So yeah. So Doug Guito here says, "Yeah, I'm getting this one." Doug Guito, if you don't mind throwing in the chat real quick, what was your rationale? Like, what made you want to collect this figure? Like, what got you hooked? You know, I'm curious. If you don't mind putting that in the chat. Honest Hansel in the chat as well is just saying hi to everybody. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for watching in the background as always. As well as Jag Alive says 0 chance for him. So you love to see that there as well. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I mean, 1 of 50 people watching says yes. Like it's pretty wild. But also, we also know Iron Man is bigger and likely more popular. You know, across the ocean there, right? So that's probably what's keeping these guys going in business. And we talked about, you know, Mark 3s potentially of Iron Man's coming out, right? 3.0s. Like you said, Pete, this is now kind of in the vein of a 5.0 for Mandalorian and Mandalorian and Grogu, the new film that's coming. It's interesting to me because anytime Hot Toys gives us anything before the actual movie or show comes out, it immediately makes me think that we're going to get double faked out, and he's actually going to end up having a different looking outfit for the majority of that movie. So it's like, here, take this one first, and then look at how cool this new variant is. He's going to have like a blue stripe on his helmet or some shit, and
do it again.
They're going to give it to us again, right?
SR Chrome debacle.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, one of the big criticisms of the Chrome version was that the Chrome version had a little too much battle damage on it, and people were like, man, I kind of wanted it to be more shiny. This is the electrostatic plated technology that they've started doing on things like Thor's hammer and some of these other figures that have popped up recently, and so I think it looks like it's going to be definitely nice and shiny. Certainly more shiny than the Beskar Mando. Probably not as shiny as the Chrome would have been, but also like more clean looking, right? With maybe that effect that people were actually looking for. I have the Beskar Mando, and when I got that at the time, man, it was an expensive figure to pick up. And now, like, I've seen you can't even give it away at this point. Like, it's crazy. But it's still no slouch. I've got it like posed up in like a walking pose, like right above me right here with Grogu, and he looks freaking awesome. I love the figure. And for me, one of the lore aspects of Mandalorian that I really appreciated was that he's not supposed to take his helmet off. And then as the seasons progressed of the Mandalorian, it made me laugh because it started to feel like he was taking his helmet off at virtually every opportunity he had, to the point where the figure has given us a head sculpt of Pedro Pascal, so you can display it unhelmeted if you want. But to their credit, this is by far the best likeness of Pedro Pascal that has existed so far. I mean, he looks frigging awesome. Shout out to Sixth Scale Treasures on Instagram, who does figure comparisons, and he lets me post in my videos and on the live show here some of his comparisons. Go over, give him a follow on Instagram. Awesome account to follow. Gets up these comparisons really, really quickly. He shows here some of the differences of the Pedro likeness, for example, and yeah, I mean, I think this new figure is the likeness to have in 6 scale if you're going to try and collect it. For the outfit itself, I don't think there's enough differences, and I don't understand why the price on this was so high as a result, unless it's just that Pedro's likeness is so expensive, because to me, it's a lot of reuse, just slightly different repainting, which I don't understand why it's so expensive. But man, does this likeness look friggin' awesome, especially in comparison to some of these others.
Original one was the one that came
right.
With them. Yeah,
and it's funny, right? Because at the time, the funny, well, that's it, right? Oddly colored. He's got like a bit of jaundice almost, right? But at the time, it's weird when we do these reviews or these figure previews or live streams, and we're critical of a likeness. I remember feeling pretty critical of that likeness, saying like, I see Pedro in there. But they haven't quite nailed it, and now to see it in comparison to these other ones, I'm like, it is.
Yeah, and I think
it is not.
The quality of the sculpted hair for Hot Toys has come on leaps and bounds, and that really helps with the likeness. I think doesn't look like plastic now, like that really does the hair on that one.
For sure. Well, and the difference between the two figures here, but again, like a lot of it feels very reused. And
I'm interested in how much of it is actually using the same molds, or is it all completely new?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's new, because I feel like the figures were already pretty well dialed in to begin with. I mean, I guess the question is it enough of a difference to make you buy? For those watching live right now, are you guys going to sell your previous Mando if you have one already in favor of this one? Is the head sculpt enough of a reason to buy it? I know that he looks a little different in Fantastic Four, for example. Like, obviously he's playing a different character, so he's got a bit of a different style that changes his mustache a little bit. They put some, Reed Richards gray in there and stuff. But I still think the likeness is a little lost there. Like, I would almost be tempted to use this head sculpt on Mr. Fantastic, if I'm honest.
You could get away with it,
you could almost get away with it, right? Is it enough of a change? Do you think this would be something that you would consider buying, or would it have to go bargain bin in order to consider?
No, I settled on the Durasteel was my favorite look. I think I prefer, the first season when he's kind of just coming out of the wasteland, he's kind of pieced together his own outfit and everything. I think visually for me it's more interesting than the Beskar, where it's kind of like clean, it's all matching and everything. So from that point of view, that's my Mando, that's what I've got. As I was saying on OFAC, I can't stand Grogu. He just annoys the shit out of me. So he got sold. So
he did.
So I don't really. As I say, I'm not a massive lover of this armor. I think, yes, if you don't have a Mando already, pick it up, because it's probably the best version of it. But at the same time, it's not cheap, and the price of the older ones is really low now. I mean, I know the Beskar, the Durasteel ones, you could get those for like under £100 in the UK, and probably you can get the first Beskar one for not much more than that. So it's actually probably a good time to jump on a second-hand one, because there will be people that have to have the latest and greatest, and they will be selling on their previous versions. I'd be very much like, actually, and like yourself, I wouldn't be displaying it with the Pedro head on. So, I wouldn't care that the previous lightness wasn't as good or anything. Yeah, I'm just a bit. It's just a bit of a yawn fest for me. Really, I'm not really that excited about the movie, and it's like another Mother Mando that looks pretty much the same as the last one. It's difficult to get hyped up for that, really. He's got one different gun, hasn't he? He's got like another rifle, not the big long one, or his pistol. He's got another rifle, but
let's go back here.
It doesn't. Yeah, that one in the middle.
Oh yeah,
like a sniper
I
rifle type thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, we don't really know. And he's got this knife thing. But obviously, until we see the movie, we don't know whether that's cool scene that he's got those in, that you'd want it, or
Yeah, it's hard to know, eh? It's hard to know. Boring base too. I like no shade on the figure. Like I do think it looks really great. It's just it's just that even my love for Mando has diminished, especially after season 3 a little bit. Luis, I don't know if you feel this way. Like I didn't even put the life scale or life size 1-to-1 figures on there, like the Grogu and the other little critter. I can't remember what his name is, the Arzalian or Arzalian.
Anzellan,
Anzellan, that's the one. I didn't even put them on the show sheet because I'm like, for me, like my excitement feels a little diminished, if I'm honest, buddy. But on the other hand, it could be a smoking movie and get everybody back on board, and then there's a chance that this figure will definitely be chased down. What are your thoughts here? Is this something that you would recommend people hold off on a little bit and see if there's another look for him in the film, or is this one to jump on before the hype train really starts up, if it's an awesome movie?
So I actually did the Hasbro. The launch of their merchandise was last Sunday, the 22nd. And the Black Series has a first edition packaging, which is all white. And that was the kind of true first edition. Once the whites are sold out, then they have the traditional packaging. And I was able to get the whole lineup, which is 5 figures in the white packaging. And just for kicks, I saw what they were selling for on eBay. And I think it's like $5 over retail. And that kind of shows what hype, to me at least, this movie has. When Black Series collectors, and there's still some serious collectors, aren't buying or paying top dollar for these only first edition packages, because they're gone. Once the white package is gone, then you're stuck with the basic packaging, and those are more sought after. Mando season 1 peak, I think the Mando figure white box was $250 compared to the $25 it was at the time. So that kind of goes to show you how far Mando has gone from a merchandising machine to the current state where you're paying a few dollars over retail for these white packages. Me, obviously huge Star Wars fan. I like Mando. I held off on the Chrome until it recently hit 25%. I think that was last year. And I was always wanting it to upgrade. But the deluxe was never on sale. And then it finally hit 25% off. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can finally buy it. And I'll do the same with this. The way I justify this purchase for me is I like the head sculpt. If I wait for it to get parted out, especially nowadays, it's going to be $100 head sculpt. If I want the upgraded armor pieces, maybe another $75 just for that. At that point, what's another $100 to get a whole figure, a whole nother body, weapons? That's how I see this, is where I'm going to wait for this to go on clearance. And then if I miss out, okay, whatever, they'll just make another version probably for Ahsoka season 2. That's just where we are at right now with Marvel and Star Wars. Is if there's another show or movie coming out shortly after, we'll probably get a slightly different version of
Yeah,
that.
you know, it's not going to be your last chance to get this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what's to me impacting Marvel is why am I going to get this new Spider-Man figure that's coming out for the new movie when he's probably going to be in Doomsday, right? I'm going to wait to see what Doomsday is doing.
Mm-hmm.
What is his suit then? And will that, new Spider-Man be discounted, right? So that's how I see Star Wars right now, especially Mando. Unfortunately, it's just filler for Ahsoka Season 2. And to see what they're going to do with this character in this movie moving forward. So I don't see this selling out anytime soon. And I think the Chrome Mando may even still be discounted. Maybe even more now because of this. So yeah, I do like the head sculpt. I think there's some great things about this. It really looks like a man in a suit.
It does.
Which
it really
look
does.
that they want to go for. And the chrome being more of a matte finish or a polished brush. That's what I want to say. It's got more of a brushed feel, which makes it look that much more realistic and scaled versus the chrome. I think it's a great looking figure overall. That head sculpt is great, but I don't see this selling out.
It still looks close to the Beskar for me, though. Like, I'm gonna have to see it in hand. I'd love to get it in comparison to my Beskar because, like, I feel like they went real shiny with the chrome, and now they're back to the more muted, matted kind of look. When I look at the screen and I look up at my figure, I'm like, it doesn't look that different. But again, in hand, it probably will. But it just in the screenshots, I'm not seeing a big enough kind of I don't know, differential necessarily to justify the price point too. Again, if this was they were giving us this to us at like $250, just to be like, hey guys, we heard you, we've continuously tweaked it, we threw in a head sculpt, like, come on, buy another one, right? Like maybe, but I think you make a good point. I think you can probably hang on and wait on this one for a while, buddy. So no, well said, buddy, well said. Just Keith Lee says that's assuming that they don't overproduce the figure. Which they would be foolish to repeat the same mistakes that they did in the last couple Mandos. Sideshow still has stock of Mando, which is crazy. Jay, do you have any thoughts or any final thoughts on Mandalorian here, and even the franchise itself at this point, where it's at?
Well, I was actually one of the collectors that got burned. I got the more matte gray, matte silver finish of Mando, and then as soon as I received that one.
The best guy,
or not even like when I received it. Maybe it might have been a couple months before where they announced the Chrome version. I was going seriously, and I remember the community was in an uproar when that happened. Yeah. So I kind of like learned my lesson.
They had the slide, right? That was like, look how
at
much better the new one is.
Yeah. Let me just shit on the one that you just got. And here's the new one. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, thanks.
Love that.
It was annoying, and even trying like. You like you say, you can't even give that figure away anymore. So it's stuck with me unless they just raffle it away or something. But the Mandalorian, there's folks that love it, love the new look. Some like the more makeshift version of him. Some are diehard fans that want the newest and best and the latest, which is fair enough. For me as a collector, I'm going to hold off on it for sure. Or at least until I get rid of the one that I have now, and that's also a good point. Like Sideshow has an abundance of stock, right? They're trying to they can't even give it away. I'm sure
they might give it away. Like this Christmas might be the free figure of the year, right? Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they put it on a BOGO or something, then fine. Like the thing I don't understand is, for example, like Pokemon. All right, so Pokemon on Friday, the Friday that just passed. They released a box set of cards, okay, and that box set of cards was like $79, and within less than 6 hours of it releasing, the market on those particular cards and that particular box set went up to about $700 USD, which is insane. And these are for cards, okay, and it seems like whatever Marvel or whatever Star Wars is coming out, to Louise's point, like there's only maybe like a $5 markup on these exclusives and limited editions. Like, what are they doing wrong? Or is it because what's coming out material-wise is not that great? or it's not something that people are looking for, because obviously whatever Pokemon is releasing, people are clawing for it, for the prices to go up that high. So is it writing
Serious
issues,
demand, right?
Is it marketing issues? It's hard to say, but it's a really interesting time to be a fan and also a collector for both anything Disney really at this moment, because it's kind of dipping pretty quick here. Or it has been dipping the past couple of years, but it's not getting any better for sure. And I think people are counting on Doomsday and Mandalorian to save those franchises, and let's see where it goes, right? Because the figures and anything merchandising wise, not cutting it, simply not cutting it for them.
Makes sense.
That's my take.
Well said, man. No, very, very well said. And I think, again, kind of to echo that, let's see how the Mando and Grogu film goes. I'm still going to go see it. I'm still excited to see. I'm excited to see if they can justify it being a movie versus just another 2 episodes of the show, because the show is pretty well produced as well. And from what I've seen of the trailers, it doesn't look like it's that different, if I'm honest. So will it really justify the film adaptation, getting butts in the in the seats like we talked about earlier in the show today, or not? But I'm going to give it a chance, and if it's great, I mean, maybe it'll reinvigorate my love for it. I at one point did want the life-size Grogu in my display. I looked at that Sideshow Collectibles one for, man, it felt like years that I considered it, and I finally just talked myself out of it. But now this other one is also like really good looking. So, but guys, we're at the 2.5 hour mark. I want to respect my panelist time today. I did have on the show sheet 1/6 scale kit from Jazzinc to chat about in combination with Factory Entertainment limited edition vehicle. Let's move that to next week. There might be a little more information on it at that point, as well as some updates on the Catwoman. Just the threading has been updated, so if you've got this Catwoman coming, most specifically the battle damage version, he has upgraded the strings in the outfit, or the threading, to make it look a little more realistic. I'm very excited for that. And lastly, Jazzinc has partnered with Modu Space in order to make some of these display backgrounds, it looks like. So there's a good Dark Knight one here, which looks really cool. Batcave specifically. I love this one with the bats in front of the moon. That looks great for like a Keaton Batman, or really any of the Batmans for that matter. Honestly, any Batman I think could look cool in front of that. This looks like the Adam West cave, which is also cool for your 66 display. Really, really neat. And then the animated one, which this one resonates with me because I do have the Batman animated series version from Jazzinc coming. So, but I don't have this kind of case, so I'd be curious to see if I could fit this in my display dimensions wise and whatnot. So cool to see them doing other things though, so I wanted to give them at least an honorable mention. We did talk about InArt Gimli earlier in the show at about the hour and 16-minute mark, so if you wanted to go back and take a look at that, Sith Lord Sam. But as far as the Classy Nut crew, I want to give a special shout out to all of the channel members who make this show possible every single week. We've got Alvin J, Honest Hansel Figurecraft, Harry Dempsey, Big Rib, or Big Rib, as Dean would say, 1/6 Figure Focus, Vita, aka her geeky side, King Dingaling, Jose G. Hernandez, The Real Tex Conway, Collection Obsession, Don Maton, Alex Serrato, Pop Culture Relics, Daniel S. Cease, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, Rachel Miller, Alex Serrato, Figure in a Bubble, Blurred Dad Life, Saphira Cosplay, Aaron Broverman, Monroe Corbeil, NW Collector, Omar Garabia, Johnny Chronicles, Mysterio, Meotics, and OU812-C1J. Love to see it. Also, our Nut Kings, very special shout out. We got SpongeBob SquareBalls, Collecting Weekly, The Batman 12-inch Moose Stream, X-Men Supreme, Peter Cass, Valkyrie Magnus, Ron E, 1 Adam 12th, Sith Scale Collector, OG Fan, When Star Wars Was Just Star Wars, Field Burn, Trevor Weed, Tijuana Mike, aka King Churro. Guys, thank you so much for being channel members and supporting the show all these years. We have so many people hitting the 2-year mark at this point, to which I supremely appreciate. Mr. Pete, you guys have been back doing Only Fools and Collecting. When is the next video up? Or I think you just had one like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
right? So
and obviously, so we were on last week after having a show off because of just quiet. Yeah, we there was a few figures. We chatted about the Football World Cup. It's coming up in 75 days or something like that. So It's always big news in this country, because we always feel like this is the year we're going to win it, we're going to bring it home, and then it just all tragically falls apart.
Need to see that.
Been there, done that many a time. Obviously, Aaron was going to be on tonight's show, but I believe that his wife was about to go in and be induced or whatever for their second
Shout
child.
out to Aaron. Good luck, buddy, if you're watching.
Yeah. So he might be out for a little while, or he might actually, need the break to just kind of get away. So hopefully we'll be back in a couple of weeks, but obviously we'll just play it by ear while he's kind of getting to grips with how it's going to be with the new one. So
sure.
but I'll be around sooner rather than later.
Cool, man. Well, it's good to see you guys back. I love that you and Aaron have been able to connect, because he's a fun guy, really good dude. Big heart, you know what I mean? Tries really hard on the shows, which I appreciate.
Absolutely. And we really just have a right laugh together. So
much fun, dude.
It's good fun.
I was playing Crimson Desert, watching you guys on replay yesterday, laughing out loud as I was gaming. Like it was you guys were hilarious. So keep up the great work, man. And Pete, as always, one of my best friends here, man. Thank you so much for being back. As always, you're always welcome here whenever you can make it. It's awesome to have you back. So
good to be back, man. Good to see you back.
Hell yeah, dude. Pop culture relics, Mr. Luis. Anything coming up for you, buddy? Anything coming to display soon? Anything that you're excited for just in life before we roll out today?
Just happy to be here, man. Happy to still keep, treading lightly and surviving this crazy market, crazy economy. But thankfully with the slump, I'm collecting a little bit more of other things, and I've got a couple pieces that will be coming in from EFX Collectibles, which they've actually just started getting into 1/6 scale. But they're doing it right, at least with their prototypes that they've done for a few of their figures. It looks amazing, but we'll see how they go. But I've got a Darth Vader reveal helmet that they're going to be doing. It's always been like a grail piece of mine. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully should come maybe in the next 1 to 2 quarters, but it should be this year. But no, man, just like I said, trying to survive and getting ready for next year. It's going to be a big year between the 50th Star Wars Celebration. So it'll be fun. But other than that, you know me, always lurking, always willing to be on the show anytime you guys, want an extra head in there and mind. But just happy to be back and happy to see you back and get to share time with you guys. Thank you.
Hell yeah, dude. It's awesome. Every time I look at your display, I always think that I'm too OCD to have multiple scales in one room. And then I see the way you've got yours set up, and I'm like, man, multiple scales can look sweet when you nail
you got
it.
the mouse
you know what I mean?
there. We got my
we were talking about that earlier.
It's huge.
It's freaking awesome. I was saying, Pete, they need to make one that's like a Roomba vacuum, so that it's got good reason to drive
so
around.
It's useful. Yeah, exactly.
It is possible. I've got the 1/1 in the back, the half scale right behind me. I think 1/360. There's something like that. The quarter scale. It's possible. So, but thank you. I appreciate that, man. Really.
Hell yeah. Mr. J, Mysterio Meonics, welcome back, buddy. Glad you were back on the show today. It was good to see you in person last week. It's always good to chat figures in person. Your display is crispy as hell. It's one of my favorite reasons to pop over and have a beer with you. I still say that you're the reason that I plunged into the 6 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that are just down here staring at me right here. But dude, as always, anything coming up for you, my friend? I know we were chatting a little bit about you trying to get back into doing a little more YouTube content. Have you thought any more about that, or what's going on in your life?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you reaching out to me and asking me to be on. And a little bit late today. A couple plans came up unexpectedly, but I'm happy that I'm here to share the time with everyone and with you, Ben. YouTube, it feels like I'm making a lot of excuses, and I have been, and it's been busy. It's been crazy. Ever since that new role that I'm taking on professionally has been eating up a lot of my time and a lot of my mental energy. And I feel like if you're not there mentally, right, it's just noise, right? And I want something that I could be happy and proud of. But I'm almost there. Honestly, I'm almost there. I have quite a few videos actually on my phone that I've been a little hesitant to post. But I'll get there. I'll get there. And I appreciate everyone reaching out to me and being patient. But I will be posting fairly soon. I still have to post some of that footage I got from Hong Kong when I was there. When I got the Wanda just right up here, which was pretty cool. And my whole experience at Secret Base, like that was that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides that, I'm kind of stressing out on what the heck I'm going to do. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Jay brought this back for me from Secret Base in Hong Kong there, very specifically. I'm like, it's an actual official one, so I've got it dangling off my master sword in the background. That sounds dirtier than I anticipated. It's dangling off of something in the background. Okay. So, very cool, man. I appreciated that. That was awesome.
It was
cool, dude.
I'm actually kind of like stressing out on what I'm going to do with my display because the RoboCop 2 is coming out and the Robo Cane, which are enormous figures, and I'm like, what the heck am I going? Like, I don't know if I can show you guys really quick. But, on that
this whole side of the room is wild. Yeah.
Hard to see
it. RoboCop, Predator.
I just don't know what to do with it. I can't really add any more shelves on top of my TV or anything like that. So I think that'd be some good content. Me being stressed over what the heck I'm going to do with this. I think that's honestly a good content because a lot of collectors have issues with space. I mean, I guess every collector has the issue with space. It's an inevitability they're going to run out of it. So I think that'd be kind of cool.
Be fun if you're down to collab a little. If you're down to collab a little bit, it'd be cool for me to pop over, set up a live stream. We could do like an unfiltered unboxing live stream where we just talk about like reworking the display, the stress of it a little bit, trying to come up with some poses while we shoot the shit with the people watching. Like that might be fun. Something to consider.
Yeah, I think
like an after dark style unboxing and display setup video. So something to consider.
That'd be awesome. And Calgary Expo is just around the corner too, and my birthday is next week. So this month is.
I'm excited for your birthday. That's going to be wild.
What day is your birthday?
It's going to be this Sunday on.
Mine's the Tuesday. 7th. Yeah.
Oh,
nice, dude. Happy birthday to you guys. Yeah.
3 birthdays in a row.
Yeah.
These guys, awesome. his family knows how to party, man. Last year at his birthday, I made the bad choice of deciding that I was going to drive home at the end of the night. Horrible choice because I just missed a whole bunch of awesome party. So this year I'm like, I am cabbing at home or sleeping on your couch, whatever it takes. It's going to be a good time. So
cool.
But Jay, always great to have you back, buddy. Pete, happy birthday when you're coming. If I don't see you beforehand. Of course. If you guys are here watching, the 40 people left remaining, you're already on the Ben Thomas Show. If you don't mind hitting the like button on your way out the door today, be super appreciated, guys. Thank you so much for remaining Let's Get Nuts audience. Again, it is hard to be consistent with the show when there's not a ton of things going on, but I appreciate that when we have an episode, you guys are right back here in the seats having fun with us and getting nuts, and I will try to be a little more consistent to the best of my ability. However, I always told you guys this. I created the Ben Thomas Show when I'm feeling passionate about things, whether I am excited or whether I'm upset by the quality, like Exo 6 Wesley Crusher. Doesn't matter what it is, I need to have some passion for it. And I'm not going to do this show either. I'm just not passionate about the stuff that's happening that week. That would feel like I'm doing a disservice to the audience. So if you guys are watching, you know that when I have a show posted, I'm having a good time here with the boys or the ladies, depending on who can come. But either way, it's always going to be a good time. So stay tuned for more Let's Get Nuts in 2026. But all that to say, Mr. Pete, Mr. Jay, Mr. Luis, we got nuts. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Well, wait. You should have subscribed to my channel if you haven't already. Subscribe and makes you feel good. Where should I go? What should I do? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. It's gone. It's all gone.